Welcome, folks. Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and with me are my nephews and colleagues, Huey and okay, whatever.
I heard the insult coming at both of us, so I stood head on for us both.
I wasn't planning on an insult. I was just going to say these.
It was going to be a 1-2 punch on both of us, so I stood in.
These two morons, that would give you a good idea of what I'm dealing with. Watch yourself. Show me what I'm working with. There it is right there.
Probably would have insulted you, but not me, as usual.
He was going for the 1-2 punch.
I'd like to insult you, too. You're pretty easy to insult. But that's nice that you think highly of yourself. Folks, PRT is here today. Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com, patreon.com/PRT podcast. We're still waiting for people to get into the chat and get into the groove of what's going on in the world of Paranormal Roundtable. Here's a couple things I wanted to throw at you real quick, this preliminaries here, and everybody's like, we ain't going to timestamp it so we can not listen to anything but the stories. Well, you kind of need to know this, and I want to put this disclaimer out there. And I had a person who messaged me, and they said, are your stories 100% true? Because I'm looking for a show that has 100% true stories. And I'm like, well, I can't actually say sir or ma'am because we don't know if this is a ma'am or a sir.
Commenter.
Yeah, well, it's Jesse. I don't know who that is. So Jesse out there in YouTube land is our passed on friend, rest in peace, Brenton Solomon used to say. Let me break it down to you. If somebody comes to you and tells you something, how do you know? Like, there is no show, and this person went on to say that there were all these podcasts and shows out there on YouTube and stuff that told true stories. And I went and I looked it up, and some of them actually do put on their true terrifying stories of, being assaulted by people on bath salts or whatever, whatever the heck it is, they say it's true. But all it is somebody telling a story. So I just wanted to pass that on to you because I don't want to be responsible for saying, hey, Josh Turner told a story, it's absolutely true. You don't know that. You can take people at their word. A guest can come on my show, and I don't want to do my guest tonight. He's a good guy, whatever. But I'm not talking about him. I'm just saying anybody can come on somebody's show and tell a whopper. I mean, I don't listen to many podcasts, and so bless their heart. She sent me one. It's a listener of my show. She sent me a show from another person, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm the best. I tell the best stories, and I get the best stories. I do get some good ones, and people, I think I jumped on it. I think what happened was I was the one that was willing to tell these stories. Because before I came along, and I'm not tooting my horn, I'm telling you the absolute truth, there was a sort of a stigma attached to connecting Dogman to anything other than, it was a flesh and blood type of creature that does whatever it does, its nefarious activities and whatever. And, we talked about the pale crawler. People, it didn't really have a category. It wasn't a crypto, and it wasn't a ghost. It wasn't classified as an alien, right? So it was like, what were we dealing with? And so people were talking about, it's creepypasta. But you're ignoring a huge category of sightings and creatures and things out there. And so because everybody had their individual little box, paranormal, when I started this 4 years ago, was ghosts. And they were like, why would you call it paranormal? I said, because I'm going to talk about all kinds of things. And so I had people from the ghost community reaching out to me and saying, you talk a lot about cryptids. We're not really into that. And then people from the alien abduction UFO community, they're like, well, you talk a lot about ghosts and cryptids. We're not really, And then people reaching out to me from the crypto field and saying, you're talking about all this paranormal stuff. This isn't paranormal. It's as real as this peanut butter and jelly sandwich I'm shoving down my throat. And I was like, look, dude, to me, there were only a few other people actually doing this whole enchilada the way I'm doing it. There's only a few, like a few of my colleagues that were really into it. And people were telling me stupid things. They're like, it'll never work. They called it cross-pollination even. I'm like, what in the heck is that? Are you a botanist? Thank you for your advice, sir. Now, if you would please just bag my groceries and then I could leave. And so it was like, I was getting all these people that were experts in all this and telling me, yeah, you can't do that. That's never going to work. That's going to work. And they did that to me with the conference last year. Nobody's going to show up for that. Nearly 500 people did. Unfortunately, this year, I don't know. The tickets we've only sold, well, I was talking to Ken about it yesterday. At the point we were at this point from the conference last year, we're about 20 or 30 tickets behind. So we're not doing terrible, but we're not doing gangbusters like we thought we would do more with all the attractions that we had there. I mean, it's going to be like an amusement park, We're going to have Tony juggling. We're going to have people, eating like
noodles,
like raw. I'm just joking. I'm making up. No, we just thought, that we would have a bigger audience, there are more people that would be involved. And I know the economy sucks and everything else, but this would be a nice respite for you and your family and friends to come and be a part of what's going on and get to meet all of these amazing people who talk about cryptids. And, there's going to be a lot talked about at this conference. And we're even going to do an interaction where we're going to let the audience get a little involved. If you would like to go and you think that you have a story to tell, I want to hear it. I want to meet my fans. I want to meet more people than I met last year. I want to be right there with you guys. And I'm even thinking about like on Saturday evening after everything winds down, maybe we go and eat dinner with some of the fans. I'm kicking that idea around about people who show up. If you want to go and hang out or something, let's go hang out. And Sunday after the conference, when it ends, let's go hang out. Let's go do something. I'm down. Let's talk. And if anybody knows, talking to me on a one-on-one personal level is way different than talking to me on the show. And I want to do that from some fans. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some fans from the audience. And we're going to do sort of a free raffle, and y'all are going to be chosen to go eat dinner with me Sunday evening, right? And so we're going to sit down. It's just going to be us. I'm not going to allow people like Ken and Lyle and all them other fools to get involved and interrupt our time. We're not going to do that. Okay? I'm just not going to let that. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to keep them away from you. Get up. I'm gonna do that to them.
We don't want these bad influences.
Yeah, we'll scare them away. We're like, oh boy, what you doing? Don't make me flex on you, David Weatherly. David's like, why are you doing this? Because I'm crazy Eddie. That's why I'm just like, yeah. I'm gonna pick up Ron Murphy. I'm gonna body slam him.
Watch yourself, Sibylla.
We missed. Hit Bettina with a chair. Oh, no, I missed. That was not the fake chair. I'm joking, folks. None of this wrestling theatrics is going to happen involving any of the speakers and guests. It's only going to happen to the audience. I'm joking about that, too. That's not going to happen. I got to put a disclaimer on. I'm joking. Okay, look. But we're going to have fun. And if dude, talk to me. Talk to me. If it's a matter of like, trying to get out there or whatever it is that you can do, if there's other people in your area that you can work with, try to get, just go. Just go, because this is going to be the one conference. I promise you. I'm giving you my word. You're not going to leave disappointed. I mean, if you do, then something's mentally wrong with you. There is the information to the conference right there. Get your tickets.
Thank you, Sugar Britches, for that $20.
The Patreon, we've decided also to move it up too. Like if because 30 is where it's at right now. If you want to do more, you can do more. That's up to you. But $30, and we give you this what we call the super swag bag. We are actually going to cut it out of the $10 tier because financially it's not feasible for us. But you can still donate on the $10 tier, and we appreciate that. And anybody who's already in the $10 tier, we thank you for your support. And we appreciate that. That is a big help. Don't stop, because we need this. We're moving along. And so we still honor the 3-month agreement, whatever. We're going to do that. We can give you, but supplies are dwindling. And what's happening right now is, and folks, I'm not trying to say we're innocent here, but our distributor is having problems, not us. And we had a stockpile, and now we're running low. What sizes are we running low on, please? There's a couple.
I think we're running low on. Hang on, I don't think my microphone's working. Hang on. Use your mic, Tony.
He said.
So I think we're running low on like the most popular sizes, which are like larges, extra larges, maybe 2Xs. Well, but when it comes to the shirts, we're doing okay, but the hoodie is not so much.
Yeah, we are actually. I think the XL shirts are getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Certain sizes are not available, or are about to be not available. And so the giveaways, we're going to just have to do something different. We're probably just going to, and we're running low on supplies. Don't know what's going on. The distributors are telling us that the economy and everything else is whatever. But so the giveaways, we're still going to do it. We're still going to do it. In fact, I wanted to make an announcement about that. I did. Some fans were asking me. We mailed off a bunch of stuff yesterday. So if your name is called. Also, Jim Powell, I'm looking for you. I don't know if you're hiding, Jim, but you were chosen as the winner for the link that was dropped, I think, today. I think it was. But you were chosen as a book winner, so hit me up. I got to hit you up on Messenger. And my other nephew just showed up.
Oh, no.
Louie. So we got Huey, Dewey, and Louie here.
3 Dooges.
So thank you for the donation. Brave says, Noodles, me love you long time, hot stuff. Okay, so somebody really loves noodles. I love noodles too, just not the human being noodles. Sugar Britches, thank you for that donation. So kind. Madeline Chap says, hey all, looking forward to another great show. Just booked my flight for the conference. Can't wait to see y'all there. Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing you too. Let me get this going here. I'm going to read off the names if I can. So Luna Blue, we sent yours off, and we're not going to say your real name on there. Joseph, we'll say you. John, Jonne. Angie, you know who you are. Kagua, yeah, but your real name is Karen with a Y. Andrea. Renee, Maynard, Debbie, Nathan. Nathan was on the show playing with Ouija boards. I don't know why. And Cameron. You guys got your stuff sent out to you. And I got some exciting news too. Besides the conference, we have something really, really awesome planned. If you're into Dogman and... the heck is that you're wearing, dude? Come on, man. You have nice hair. What are you doing?
Sure.
Like,
nice hair, but bad face.
Your hair looked really good. They were at the bar. That girl that you were talking to, she was like wanting for you to go meet her at some other bar. Yeah, she looked up I was talking about the show on there, and she literally, this is my nephew Zane, but she literally like had her aunt that she was sitting with. Send me a message on.
Oh, so that was her aunt?
Yeah, it was like her aunt. She sent me a message through email saying, my niece wants to talk to your nephew. She thinks she's cute, whatever. And I was like, I guess they had gone to the other bar, and I was like, I'm not going over there. I just was hanging out with my friend, at Spinners. And his story is pretty compelling. It's going to be in the book. And it's going to be, I'm going to be able to tell it correctly, not edited or the way on DER, you have to tell it a certain way. And I'm not going to bash Vic. That's just how he does things. I've forgiven this guy. I have no beef with him. We're cool. I have no problem with him. I don't care whether he likes me or not. It has nothing, go watch it. I don't care. I don't give a crap anymore. It's just, my mom would want me to forgive, and I have. I've forgiven. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I'm dead serious. I was talking to Dark Waters the other day, and we were just both like, he had his beef, I had my beef. It is what it is. It's not my karma. I don't have to deal with that. But if I pursue an anger, then it is my problem. And that's not something I'm going to deal with. So I'm not going to speak ill of that guy. But so anyway, the thing is, he had a certain way he would do things. And so when I told the stories on his show, and then you got to listen to what I'm going to tell you. Okay, I had to tell him a certain way because that's how he wanted to do his show. I used to be really angry with that, kind of upset at the way that I didn't like. But, he was right. He's like, if you want to tell a story your way, you go make your own show, and then you can tell it however the heck you want to tell it. Then I can tell it in its entirety because he wanted to hear about the Dogman, predominantly the physical aspects of it. So the stories had to be kind of told in a certain way, and he edited some things, which I'm pretty sure I haven't even gone back and listened to it all, but I know that some of the stuff I'd listened to was kind of like, and that's his right to tell this if he wants to. It's his show. If you come on my show and you tell a story and I tell, I don't really do that, but if I did that, it would be my right to do that. And so, forgive and forget. I don't care. But in the book, I will go into a detail about Arash's encounter. His name is Arash Saberi, and he's like open, willing to talk about it. And he's had 2 encounters, very odd. One chapter in particular, we're going to get into some really weird stuff about something that was going on in my neighborhood that used to be all woodsy, very rural. Now it's all grown up. And so there was this creature that we didn't know whether it was a horned. We didn't know what it was. It looked like a dogman with horns. I could say this. We are going to talk about this next week. Next week, D.A. Roberts is actually coming on the show next week. I'm going to give you I usually surprise, who I'm going to have on. Next week, D.A. Roberts is going to come on my show, and we're going to talk about howler encounters. The Ozark howler is a creature that looks like a dog, wolf type creature. I told one of these stories on Vic's show on DER, and that creature is seen. It's seen quite a bit, like in the Ozarks, in Arkansas and in Missouri, in that area. And last week, D.A. Roberts was talking about that. And he was talking about Teddy Roosevelt and stuff. I'm not real big on the Teddy Roosevelt thing. Everybody has already talked about it and kind of played it out. It's, but they did a really good job, and they went in depth on it, and it's like, oh, Teddy Roosevelt was into this, he was into that, blah, blah, blah. He gave, accounts of stuff, but the Ozark howler was very interesting. And I had, like I said, a story I had done on Vic's show. I don't think I've ever gone back and re-listened to a lot of those episodes, so I don't know exactly. I just know what people have told me, that it said this and it said that, and I'm kind of like, that's interesting. So certain things might have been left out. I don't know. But we're going to get into that on his show, on my show on Friday, and then on Saturday. That's not tomorrow. That's next Saturday. Next Saturday. What is the date on next Saturday?
13th.
Okay, so the Saturday the 13th, I'll be on his show. What is his show? Deus Ex Machina, I believe it's called, which is Latin for God in the Machine. If you don't know what that means, it's basically saying that God's hand changes the course of everything. And like in movies, it's like the good guys get saved in the end. It's Deus Ex Machina. It's like there's no way out, so divine intervention takes place. That's basically Latin. I know these things because I'm smart. I'm not trying to sound crass. I'm just being honest. No, that's what that means. But his show is a pretty good show. So anyway, his show is just like my show. It's like people say whatever. If you tell the story, it is what it is. And if somebody comes on your show and they tell a story, it is what it is. So I told this lady, I said, ma'am, there is no podcaster, no author, no YouTuber on the planet who does what we do. Whether it's me, Josh Finocchio, Tony Merkel, they're all good guys. I think we're all pretty good people. Or I wouldn't have them at my conference. I wouldn't be friends with them. I wouldn't chat with them, whatever, if I thought they were bad guys. But the bottom line is this. None of us can tell you, hey, this is absolutely true, unless it is your encounter. Now, I can tell you when I talk and I tell you this happened to me, that is it 100% true. I stand by that. I give you my word. But when I tell some other story, there's no way for you to go, oh, that's 100% true, because there's no way. And maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot by telling you that, but that's the truth. The truth is that we can't 100% vet your guess. You can't vet stories. There's no way to know. When somebody's telling you, hey, this happened to me, and I've had people tell me, and I'm not talking about stories in my, like the show stories. I'm talking about like when we're out at our ashes,
Right.
And I'm not gonna get into his name, but dude sat down and started talking some crazy stuff. I'm like, okay, this dude was trying to look me in my eye and lie to me about something he did, some wildness, and I'm over there going like, yeah, dude. And if I just went, you'd fall over. So I don't know how you beat up a whole nightclub. That's you know what I mean? Like there's some world champion lying dudes out there, man, and women too, and they just tell some whoppers, and you're like. And they're just like, and then, and then I got in a helicopter, yeah, with my wife, yeah, Brooke Shields, yeah, we were hanging out, we were in the Bahamas, yeah, and Obama was there, and we were all just having a good time, and Rob Schneider showed up, and then we went scuba diving with Aquaman, and you don't, like, you're sitting there going like, this person's looking you dead in your eye, and they're dead dog serious, and they're lying.
No, he did all of that, but in Grand Theft Auto. That's where he did it.
He did it all on GTA, and so... there's no way for you, there's no podcaster that can sit there and tell you, nobody. The person across from you can tell you whatever the heck that, I'm Tarzan, King of Mars. It doesn't make it true.
Whoa.
And so if I sat up here and I said, look, every word out of my mouth is the gospel. That is not the case, But if somebody tells you that it's, it's what happened to them, then it's up to you, the audience, to discern whether or not you believe it or not. And you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe these people's encounters. You don't have to believe my encounters. You don't have to believe their stories. You don't have to believe my stories. You don't have to believe any of it. It is completely up to you. I don't compel you, to believe or not believe. But I thought it was important, and we talked about this a few days ago when this lady had messaged me, and I said, I think it's important that we bring that up. Because I think it's the right thing to do. Because there are a lot of people out there who are like, this is true. These are true encounters that happen with swamp beasts from the sewers of New York, And you're like, yeah, okay, right. And the monkeys come flying out of your butt at what time? That's... and so you cannot sit there and label things as true, whatever. And I'm sorry if I'm offended. I'm trying to offend anybody because there's some podcasts out there that do good work. I don't necessarily agree with the way they present their stuff. And I've had people tell me that I should present it differently. So what do you want me to start putting on there? True, terrifying encounters. How the hell do you know? I can listen to somebody and I got a good BS detector. But it's not always 100%. There have been people who I was listening to on a show the other day, and I was thinking, it's pretty compelling. About 30, 40 minutes in, this dude started fumbling for words, and it was like the story should have ended there, and the road was no longer paved. Then he was just riding on gravel, and his tires were coming off.
He was really just falling off.
And he was like, I saw a Yeti. Like a Yeti cooler on the side of the road. You saw it? When he said something about a Yeti, like after that, it was like the host was like, oh, well, tell me more. And I'm going like, oh, no, man. So then you don't know whether this guy was, and I don't want to throw people on the bus because it's not my place to do that. I don't, but I just was like, okay, I get it, and it was somebody messaged me and sent me that. And I was like, this guy, he had me going. I mean, he was like really... had a good story. And so I thought, this is what I think. I think the first part of his story was true. I think he did have an encounter in Oklahoma. I think something did happen to this guy. But then when he started talking about he saw a Yeti up in Canada when he was driving a truck, and I'm going like, what is a Yeti? What is a Yeti? Like, what do you mean you saw a Yeti? Like, where does the truth end and your BS begin? He's off the road. I I don't know. Thank you for that donation. Who is that? And folks, I want to say something else too. When you donate while the guest is on talking, I'm not trying to be rude, but I cannot just go, hey, thank you, in the middle of the person talking, and they're like, and then, I was hiding in the outhouse, and this werewolf was about to kill me. Yeah, thank you for that donation, Bubbles Just Fish. Oh, go ahead and finish telling your terrifying story. Go ahead.
You got to read the comment first.
Yeah, and you can't go, hold on, let me tell you what the fucking listener said. Excuse me, but this listener just said, you know what? I hate this guest. You should die. Oh, my gosh. I just said that.
Oh, no. Anyway, continue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, pardon my French, but, you can't do that.
We do appreciate all the donations, but
we appreciate the donations, absolutely.
We hope you guys understand.
They absolutely help right now. It says, hey, Josh and PRT team, your show never disappoints. I'm a listener every week, watching with my mom tonight. Oops, I said a bad word earlier. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to do that. It just, I had somebody knocking on my proverbial messenger door saying, I gave you a donation and you didn't acknowledge it. That's twice and blah, blah, blah. You did it during the time when somebody was talking, and don't think it went unnoticed. It did not. I totally noticed it, and especially when you began to scream obscenities at me on the phone. Then I definitely noticed.
There's a reason we have the little thing up in the top left so you can see who donated. Your name pops up on the screen for a reason. Mm-hmm. So, you deserve some kind of recognition.
That's right.
Sometimes that's just going to have to be good enough.
Yeah, and we appreciate it, though. I want to say a heartfelt apology. They're probably not listening because they told me off on Patreon, which I will start answering things on Patreon, and I'm going to tell you about that. Extreme Reality Check, I am sorry. From the bottom of my heart, that your messages got lost in the shuffle. I had 100 messages to look through. I do take 1 or 2 days a week to try to sit there and go through all of these. I do that. I really do that. These guys sitting at the table can tell you. I go into my study and I read these messages.
Yeah, he puts a lot of time into checking messages, checking emails, but even then, it's like there just aren't enough hours in the day because there's so much to go through. Mm-hmm. And sometimes things are just going to get lost in the minutia. And, it's definitely not anything that's coordinated or on purpose.
I see somebody said Froetian. Froetian, do you know what that word means? Just tell me yes or no if you actually know if to you that's a made up word, but there's actually a meaning behind it. The Froetian, we're actually a people. I don't know if you knew that. Maybe you know where that's from, but anyway, there is a lot that we're loading up in the cannon to come at you. We're going to talk Dogman next Saturday with D.A. Roberts on his show. We're going to talk Ozark Howler on Friday on my show. Tonight we're going to talk Bigfoot, Dogman. Got some weird stories. And then we're going to release a Dogman show. A guy had a really epic encounter, and I believe this guy. Like I said, it's up to you, the audience, to believe it or not believe it. But he was on a colleague of mine's show, and I thought, this guy, I really want to get him on my show. I want to release it for the podcast. I want it to go to Spotify and to the other, platforms. So we're going to record with him, and that should be a good a show. There's a lot of Dogman coming down the pipe. I want to discuss something before I bring on my guest, who I think you guys are going to enjoy, and he's got a show too. But I wanted to discuss something with you. We were talking, and I don't know if you guys, do you know what biolocation is? Look it up, Tony. Just tell the audience what biolocation is. In the meantime, I got a story that I've been wanting to tell, and I'm going to tell this one, and then I'm going to get back to this whole biolocation thing. I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing. This story, and I thought this would be interesting because Zane, your grandmother used to live there. Mm-hmm. Came out of Tyler, Texas, not Taylor, Tyler. And I got this one on Easter, but it's taken me this long to get around to actually telling it. What is biolocation?
Biolocation, or sometimes multi-location, is an alleged psychic or miraculous ability where an individual or object is located or appears to be located in two distinct places at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's the devil.
It's of the devil. Everything's of the devil if it ain't of the evangelicals church. The first evangelical church of Ebenezer on the side of the road where the rock sits by the river creek right there by where I live with my van.
I don't
and
see
my
that.
dog Jed. That's the first and only church you should listen to, and only ever listen to the word of the Schofield Bible in that church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Yes, Lord.
Jimmy, bring me that damn snake to right there yonder, boy.
No, that copperhead.
We
Let
gonna
it
get
bite
that
your
copperhead.
nose. Come on now. Don't
Get
be
that-
afraid, folks. Step right up. Amen.
Ain't afraid of no cotton mouth.
That's right. Woo! That's right. I feel the spirit. Oh, I need to go to the hospital.
The spirit of the Lord is telling
Jimmy,
me
you need to
that
calm
you need
down.
to donate $15.99
if
to
you
my
donate
Patreon right now, and the
Jimmy
Lord
will
will bless
live.
you tenfold. The Lord
Jimmy
will bless your
will
donation
live.
Jimmy gonna
tenfold.
get out that wheelchair, start walking again. Amen.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. $15.99 ain't that's cheap to get to heaven. And now we're going to take up a quick break and maybe take Jimmy to the hospital. They don't do that. They just let him die. Well, unfortunately, copperheads should not be biting you on the nose.
Amen.
Here's the thing, folks. People believe that it's some sort of bad thing, whatever. And maybe it is. I don't know. But I'm going to discuss biolocation with you. Maybe not get into it real heavy tonight, but we are going to talk about it because people asked me when I said something last week about Jesus and that it is possible, being the Son of God, that he could actually have lived multiple lives simultaneously. And somebody messaged me, and she was like, that is absolutely insane. I can't believe you would say something like that. And I said, the fact that you don't believe that your Lord and Savior, my Lord and Savior, could do that is insane. Somebody asked me why I don't believe certain aspects of God, and I said, because you say that I worship something that you can't fathom. I say that I would not worship something that I could fathom, that had human characteristics. Why would I worship that? You're putting human characteristics on the God, the creation, the creator of all that is. Do you think he needs to live and breathe and act like a man? He's not a respecter of man because he's not a man. And so, well, he made us in his image. That's where we differ, my friends. It said, let's make man in our image. That doesn't mean that the infinite creator God is the one who did that. And I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying that God could do a lot better job because he is perfection and he's a creator. He's the source. But his creations could make, because we can create. We're on the verge of making AI like us. We're making AI in our image. And if we can do that, then what's to say some intelligence couldn't do that? And then somebody got on to me and said, well, the Sabbath should be kept holy, blah, blah, blah. Says who? Oh, well, God said that, but why would God need to rest? He's the infinite creator of the universe. Why would God need to rest? My God that I serve, the Father of Christ, which Christ, I believe, came to know that that is who God is. That is who his Father truly was and is. When he returned from his journeys of 18 years, and I believe he traveled down the Silk Road. I believe that because there's records of him in like 20 different countries. And many of them have stories of him actually settling down and having lived his life out there. There was a man named Daesh. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing of who he was because I'm still in the middle of reading about it and learning about him. He had the ability of biolocation. He was considered by the Muslims as a heretic and a dark prophet. But he absolutely could take aspects of himself. And now people will argue, well, it must have been the jinn that did that for him, or it must have been demons. Okay, there again. If a demon can do that, then why couldn't God or his son, my Lord and Savior, do that? The arguments can go on and on. And so I was fending off, whatever, and telling people, look, you have questions. I have answers, dude. Message me, ask me the questions. If I have time, I'll give you the answer. It's not hard. Okay? I'm not going to get into a Bible sermon here. This is a paranormal show, and these are paranormal activities. This Muslim cleric, or he declared himself a cleric, started his own religion, Daeshism. And you can look it up. You want to, whatever. And we will get into this. I will come back to this, okay? I will. And we're going to talk about this. Now, he was pretty recent. And he studied a book. I don't want to say the name of this book because people will go out like goofballs and they will go try to find this book and try to read it. And I strongly request that you not do that. Okay? It's called the Sham. I'm not going to get into the name because you want to go look it up, go ahead. But do yourself a favor, don't get a copy of it. And don't put it in your house. Okay? A lot of bad paranormal activities happened around that book. It is a grimoire. And it is thought to be one of the true, absolute, actual, books of, what do you call it? Cursed works. And I'm not going to get into a whole thing about it. We'll talk about it. So what happened was this guy could perform bilocation. And if this guy, who I believe was a false prophet, absolutely, but he could be in several different places at once. He spent time in Lebanon and Syria, all over the Levant. And he could be in many places at once. Now, there was a story that I found about a school teacher in Indiana who did that. And she got fired. She wasn't a twin. She wasn't triplets. They weren't playing games. It was her. And she confessed. She said, yeah, I did this. Go look that up. You can find it. Then I got a story about somebody out of Baltimore who says, it was not their mother. It was their aunt / stepmother who raised him. His parents were killed in a fire. And this young man, he's an African-American young man. He's blind. This guy can type. He can read. He can sing. He can do all these things. He's blind. He's been blind since he was 7 years old. And he says, this woman, she was actually known to be able to be in more than one place. And the way that they describe this is what they do. They take a part of their essence and they kind of plant it and create a tulpa. And you can literally sit down and have dinner with this tulpa because it is a secondary aspect. Now, the question we had when we talked about this, Anthony, me, you, and Tony, and we had many different theories. We had a whole discussion about it, hour-long discussion. You can look at it like it's alternate realities, right? That's one, parallel worlds, alternate selves, or they're all aspects of someone's self here on this planet. Yes, folks, yes, the Raiders, because they're in Vegas now. Okay, they're no longer out there in California. I will root for them. Also, if you're from California, they're charging me double to ship to you, which is unholy. Like that state is very unholy, and not the people. I love the people. Californians are actually a lot of them are very decent people, but they're like I got to get out of this place. There was a song about that. Got to get out of this place if it's the last thing you ever do. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. So what you got to do is get out of there. Okay? Unless you want to keep voting to destroy my business, then please don't come here. Okay? Because I'm looking at everything from an economic standpoint. So I will, in the coming days, be giving some advice. I am not a financial advisor, but if I think that I can help my people in any shape or form, I will. And I don't want you to put it on me. If you want to believe it, believe it. If not, but I was right about the gold. Gold is over $2,000 an ounce, and I believe it's going to go up. And there is a very strong indication that there are several stocks that you should invest in because the economy is tanking. And there are certain things that are just going to go through the roof and everything else is going to collapse. And I am feeling the heat like everyone else. I'm losing work, I'm losing accounts, and I'm losing a couple of my accounts to AI because they don't believe that a security guard is worth it. It's a liability. So they put up a camera that alerts the police, which the police in a defunded city don't show up. Okay. But what you do get is a person with a COVID mask and then a paper tag on a trailer or a truck that's fake, and then they rob you, and then you get to watch it on camera. Oh, look, that's what happened. He stole your stuff.
At least it's not a mystery anymore. I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Now
we know that it was a carbon-based life form that stole your stuff.
It's like watching reality TV, but it's very, very expensive to watch.
And it's also very depressing. Well, that's like reality TV. So that's what happens. And boy, don't you wish you had biolocation to just like, I wish I could clone myself because I would rule this city and probably this world. Just kidding. It's a trick I do. I roll my eyes back on my head, make them all reptilian-like and stuff. No, I can't do that. I wish I could. Just scare the crap out of people. Be at HEB. Do you need a bag? The last time you asked me that. Okay, sir, I'm sorry. I won't. Yeah. Next time, I'll take your soul. But the truth be told, I want to do what's right by my people. I want to do what's best for my people. And I look at you, my audience, as my people. And when you have questions and you thirst for knowledge, I want to be able to fill that. I want to give it to you. I want to be able to tell you, hey, I'm not a prophet. I'm not the smartest man that ever lived. I'm the fourth smartest man ever lived behind Tesla and a couple of his friends. But, I'm in good company. I'm Max Planck. Come on, who can be smarter than him and Meichikaku? I'm number 4. I'm comfortable where I'm at. It's like this is my fourth favorite team right here in the NFL. Fourth. Cowboys, Buccaneers, Texans, Raiders. They don't ever win. They say just win, baby, but they don't do it. But the league doesn't like them, and they don't like Dallas. It's truth. They're sacrificed every time for whoever they want to get in there. And let me tell you something. If you think that what's going on in this world right now is not good versus evil, then you're not paying attention. And if you think you can just sit on the sidelines and just be like, well, I'm just going to sit this one out. Let God and the devil duke it out. I'm fine. It's not going to happen. Because if you sit there passively, you will be chosen to be on that side, which is evil. Evil takes everybody. Good is picky. It's, back when my brother was doing what he did, when he's a former Satanist, he's a reformed Satanist, and I watched this man pull a demon off him. I didn't see the demon, but I saw him levitate a few inches off the ground. This really happened. He's told my wife this. He's told this story. The thing that really got me was how deep he had gotten into this. And he told me one day, he said, I feel like I was chosen, like I was marked. I said, you were. Everybody's chosen by evil. Evil's like, come on, I'll take you. The road to hell is wide. It's really wide. It's like a 12-lane highway. And the devil tells you it's really easy. It's very easy. And we're all going to have a big party in hell. And the road to heaven is very narrow, and it's like all growed up, and you got to hack your way through. But nothing worth having or doing is easy.
The easier it is, the less important you are when you achieve it.
The less you appreciate it. You know what I mean? Look, I have teeth, see? Somebody said I didn't have teeth in my upper. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I got them.
Yeah.
Somebody else said, he got little bitty ass teeth. I said, well, they're there. I broke this one. I heard still,
Very interesting what people stare at.
Yeah, they look at stuff. He has beady eyes.
He only has 7,064 beard hairs.
I was at the gym one day and I was training, and this guy's like talking to me, and he's like, so are you half Korean? Because I was like, lifting, and I'm like fat, and especially back then I was really fat. I was really strong, but I was really fat. And I was like, yes, I am. Yes, absolutely. I got this big by eating Korean food. That's what happens.
Korean barbecue, specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I think Asians are thinner because they eat with chopsticks. And if they had a fork over there, they would probably be huge like we are because they would just shovel it in like we do. I mean, I'm joking, seriously. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's, I don't know. I heard a comedian say something like that one day years ago, and I was like, dude, that's freaking so correct because I thought about it, and I was like, he's right. I mean, that's actually true. They stay thin, they don't, North Korea, of course, they're eating their pets and their shoes.
They are.
I'm not making a joke about that. They're really suffering. I mean, they really are. And Kim Jong-il come down. Like, how can you look like a sumo wrestler's child and your whole country's, starving?
He's like, what, 5'5" or something?
I don't know, like 5 foot nothing,
Like
and
a
he's
basketball.
like 300 pounds, and they're working around the clock to keep him alive forever because he's a god.
Yeah.
Because his dad, the second god, and his grandfather, the first god, died.
You didn't hear that soothing, godly music they play every time he walks outside?
I mean, how are you a god if you're dying? It's like that Iron Maiden song, I don't want to die. I'm a god. Why can't I live on? Because you're not a god.
Well, those gods work in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
We're not to question if they chose to die. Then
Yeah. Here at the Ebenezer Church of the South, 1st Street, around the corner, down the road by the bend, with the band in the van down by the river, the band playing the banjo. We don't question God. Don't ask no questions. Just give faithfully. Faithfully. To the evangelical Schofield Bible God. Because he's got all the answers in this book. Don't deviate from that. You don't want to learn nothing else. All that learning and reading is just going to get you nowhere. Probably hell.
don't ask her why the preacher gotta have a nice car.
Why do you gotta have a big house?
Just give generously.
Faithfully.
Just give the money.
Just give. Susie Jago, thank you for giving. Who else is going to give? To the Ebenezer on the side of the road, by the rock, down by the river, South First
You forgot the bend.
Street,
Can't forget the bend now.
around the bend.
That's right.
First church. The first. Every one of them's the first. You never see like the second church. Like there's always the first.
Yeah. Never the 28th.
Yeah.
In the gospel.
I'm the 284th church. Hey.
He was number one.
He was, yeah, the Church of Schmitty Jagerman Jensen. He was number one. I tell you right now, folks, a lot of the snake oil is being peddled out there, and there's a lot of it. It's in politics. It's in the movies. It's on the YouTube, on the Tube of You. It's on the everything. And everybody is just trying to play dice with you. And some of these people get up there like Oogie Boogie. From Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm Oogie Boogie. They just and they tell a cool little. They do a little spiel, and they have somebody come on and looks real slick, and then they're full of crap. And all we're trying to do is steer you toward the truth that we know. And as I develop the truth, I will give it to you. Because I'm doing the work. I'm putting in work. I'm putting in work, folks. That's what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to do that. People don't like it. There's a lot of people that are getting their feathers ruffled, telling me I need to slow down, stay in my lane, chill out, whatever. Why are you telling people, why not? If you got nothing to hide, why are you complaining? Everybody's entitled to believe or not believe, And thank you. Susie says, I'm feeling the Holy Spirit with all that energy, Wolf. Yes. And hopefully it's the real Holy Spirit, not what these people are calling the Holy Spirit. Because everybody's got their truth. I love that. That's another phrase people toss around, their truth. Like when we're talking about Bigfoot, and they said, well, my truth of Bigfoot is this. So I guess if you're looking at it in the way of biolocation, maybe. Now I'll tell you a story. There is biolocation within the Bigfoot and Dogman community. And I'll tell you what I mean. I've gotten stories. I've gotten a couple of very strange stories. Dogman, just for example, and Bigfoot, where these things split and they look like they come out of an orb and they split. And they look exactly like each other. What's going on there? Are they coming from an alternate reality where each one of them has their own, or are they independent of one another? Imagine three of you just all popping out of an orb. They look exactly like carbon copies. Are they clones? Because I know as a people we're being homogenized. They're trying to make us all into just you're a carbon-based life form. That's it. You don't have any kind of anything. People talk about gender. It's not just gender. It's religion. It's race. It's everything. You're just nothing. I want nothing. That's it.
Entity number 74.
Yes. And you're happy to own nothing, and that's it. So what happened was this person on Easter gave me a story, and I'm going to tell the story before I bring my guests on. It was very odd. This was, and I'm going to, it's going to sound ludicrous, but if you're watching this show and you're still with me at this point, you already know. Okay, I'm going to get into some stuff that's going to be weird. And at first I was kind of annoyed because I was like, it's Easter Sunday and I had to get up and go to eat dinner at my sister's house, which I wasn't upset about that. And then we got the news that they were coming to our house, and Anthony was already in the kitchen cooking. And he made delicious King Ranch chicken. And he made it with low sodium, so it was edible for me. I felt really bad because it would have been a lot tastier and less bland if he would have just made it for everybody, because it's not fair that one person should make everyone suffer. So I apologize for that. But he's a very considerate young man, and he's a very good cook, and he decided to make, because Nellie's back's all messed up. Please pray for her. She's in pain. Her back is messed up. But it was. I get up and I get a story, and I'm like, okay, I get an Easter story on Easter, and I thought, I can't be that way. This is my job. This has become my second job, and this is the job I actually enjoy. So sometimes I don't feel like coming up to the studio and doing a show. I don't feel like recording, and sometimes I don't feel like putting on pants. But it happens, because you can't just go outside. Apparently, people get offended when you go outside without pants.
Just not tonight, though.
And apparently, you're never supposed to smoke crack.
Oh, we're not supposed to be doing that?
Thanks for telling me.
Heroin's still good, though, right? I mean, I never got the A-OK about that one, but...
I go to the gym, and I light up, and they're all like, hey, quit vaping. Oh, it's crack. Oh, okay. We thought you were vaping. Whew. Good thing. It's relief, You start lifting all manic, it's like, dude, I'm not training to be an Olympian. I'm just trying to smoke some, and then work out. Jeez, Really, I don't even need to work out anymore. I'm not trying to be the best at exercise. I'm already great. I don't need it. Anyway, this person gives me a story, so I'm a little offended. I mean, I don't know why. It just kind of bothered me. I'm like, why does this person give me this story, on Easter? I don't want to hear about a weird something on, But then I started reading it. And as often happens, I get, all... Because I'm one of those people, I get really into stuff. And y'all know this about me. When I get into something, I'm really into it. You know what I mean? I get really into it. So I start reading these stories. I'm like, this is, and I start talking, and I sound like a savant. I'm like, yeah, 7:30 Jeopardy, 7:30 Jeopardy, definitely. And so I'm reading this story, and I thought, this is trippy. So I ran into the study, and I sat down on the computer, and I pulled up 3 or 4 others. Because you see it, and you're like, I don't know what this is. Let me put it over here, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it just kind of goes... it comes to me, and I just move it into files, and I'm not even thinking. I'm not even it's not even processing. It's like a job, It's like brown box here, yellow box here, blah blah blah, purple, green, whatever. This story, I found a couple other stories, so it's not unprecedented. This person was a 7-year-old child. Well, they said they were 6 or 7. They weren't for sure on the when it happened. It was 1989. I know that. And they said they were pretty sure it was 88, 89. So I know that. And it was Easter, and they were in the backyard of a house right on the edge of town in Tyler, Texas. And they were Easter egg hunting. And when they went to the backyard, they said that it was this person and his little cousin, who was a female, who was 4 years younger than him. So she was a toddler. 3 or 4, because he couldn't remember, he was 7 or 8. And he goes to he was kind of holding her hand, and he's being the good cousin and taking her, as the other kids are running around, he's trying to help her grab Easter eggs. And she's like, look, Easter bunny. And she points. And he looks. Now, he's at a cousin's house. This is not his house. This is his aunt's kids, whatever. And he sees what looks like a giant Easter bunny, a brown giant bunny. He says it looked kind of like it, and it was turned to the side. He goes, it has the eye right there, And he said it turned, and when it looked at him, it sat up, and he said that it had weird-looking arms, and it scared the crap out of him, and it was only about 10 feet away from him. He judged, as an adult trying to figure out, He was like, dude, it was so freaky looking. Now, folks, he's like 42 or something now, 40-something. This guy, he told me, he said, dude, I still have nightmares. He goes, every once in a while, I'll have nightmares. He goes, whenever I see, like one of those pictures with the kids sitting with the Easter bunny, and they're all like, terrified because they didn't know how to make costumes without scaring the crap out of your kids when you were in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. Folks, I had that happen to me in Temple, Texas. My mom's like, we're going to go sit with the Easter bunny. And I was like, the Easter bunny? The Easter bunny was like little. Yeah. So we went to the temple, and it was like a week before Easter or something, and we were at the mall. And I'm with my cousins. My cousins probably didn't remember this. We were little. It was with my Aunt Jovita and her children, Amy and Rosalind. You know my cousins, Amy and Rosalind. And they're like, hey, let's go sit. We're going to go sit with the Easter bunny. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. And my cousin Rosalind was freaked out. Now, God rest her soul. She's deceased now. But she started freaking out. She's like, no, this isn't happening. I'm not about to be. And my other cousin just seemed kind of like she was confused a little bit. And,
I kind of mean to ask you about that. Why does everything back in like the 70s and 80s look so just uncannily terrifying?
Well, they didn't believe in making things look good. They just believed in terrifying.
Well, I'm just saying, like, everything looks like a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, you saw those old, like, Halloween costumes, and they're like...
So, what ended up happening was we got freaked out because when you saw what it was a dude in a white Easter bunny costume, and the teeth were like, Yeah. And if I remember correctly, this is like I was little. I was probably like 9 or 8 or something. A little too old to be doing any of that, really. I didn't want to sit on Santa's lap because I knew it was just a dude that just was like, what do you want, kid? He smells like brute and like body odor. And you're like, I don't want to tell you anything because you might come to my house and rob me, dude. You look probably homeless. I don't know what you're doing. But this bunny like had this, and one of the eyes were crossed. Like one of the eyes was not working correctly. It was like, it was like. Then I realized as I got closer, that was the mask. That was his eye. Mm. Like this dude that was wearing the costume, his eye was crossed. Yeah, he had a crossed eye, and he's like, hey, what you want? And he smelled really strong of like alcohol. Now at that point in my life, I had not been around like a bunch of alcoholics, but I had smelled it. One of my aunts dated a guy who was always drinking tequila. His name was Weil, and he always smelled like that. I thought, man, he smells like Uncle Weil. So I was like, they could have sit me on his lap, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and I got real uncomfortable as I tried to get off. So somewhere there is one of those pictures of me like trying to get away from him. My mom thought it was funny, and so whenever I see one on Facebook, I know exactly what this guy's talking about. Yeah, because you're seeing that. So this guy's his nickname is Bud, but Bud told me, he said, dude, he's like, man, it was crazy. I see this, and I was like, was it a crazy guy in an Easter bunny costume? He said, no, this wasn't a costume. He goes, this was an entity. This was a creature, a being. He said, and so then when it turned to the side, he goes, and it looked at us and it sat up. He said that it kind of started like clacking his teeth, like, and he said it had these really big, like incisor teeth, and it was just unnatural, and it had these weird human-like hands. He said he remembers it pulling the brush down to where it was trying to to maybe jump at him. Yeah. And he kind of sat up part ways, and then he said he heard a crashing, breaking noise, and he looked over, and this is what he said. He goes, dude, I saw what I did. I did not know at that time. I had no clue what this was. Thank you for that donation, Lunar Eclipse. And Curtis Turner, thank you for the donation. Susie B, thank you for the donation. We appreciate that, all of it. And he said, I had no clue what this was. But I looked over, and I saw what looked like what I know now is a Bigfoot, right, like a Sasquatch. And he said that it walked right up, like kind of like right next to it, about 5 foot from it. And I said, this is interesting. I was like, so what happened? Did they fight, And he was like, no, they just both stood there looking at us. He said, behind these creatures, and get this is what really got my interest. I was waiting for the color, but it was different. He said it was like a bluish mist. Now, Tony, we've talked, me and you, just many times about the green mist. We've heard of it, you know. Mm-hmm. But he said it was like a bluish mist in the back. Now, his little cousin doesn't remember it very well. She remembers seeing what she thought was the Easter Bunny when she was a little toddler. Now, unlike the millennials, we remember our childhood because we weren't sprayed with every chemical on earth and put everything stuck into our bodies. You know, whatever they give you chemicals when you're a kid or whatever. It is a weird thing. I've talked about this before. Millennials don't have a real good memory of their childhood. They start remembering things about 7 or 8, which is weird. A lot of people in Generation X remember, you know, and it's really weird if you start doing, like, if you're going through the statistics and you're looking at suicide rates, man, woman, you start looking at, like, people and, like, what they say about how they remember things, alcohol, all these other types of things, and the proliferation of how it's very interesting. I'm a big numbers guy, statistically. And you see how it has just propagated, like it's just gone off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much only remember yesterday. Anything before that was just complete blank.
Well, we know why that is, but you know, when your brain's the size of a pecan, you need to get bit on the nose by a copperhead. It'll save you. All right, so what's happening here? His little cousin is like witnessing this, but she's not really taking it in. Then she begins to scream and cry because this creature moves forward and kind of moves his hand toward him. And he's like, what kind of, you know, nightmare is this? You know, this thing, this weird, you know, he said it had elongated fingers and it was like gross. And it was definitely a rabbit-looking creature. The weird thing, I mean, it was not only is it a weird story, but like it's like the crazy thing was I found 2 or 3 more in our archives. Not to that same degree of weirdness where Bigfoot's hanging out with the Easter Bunny. I'm not saying that and it didn't happen on Easter, but we have weird stories. My wife's friend claims that she saw a giant rabbit. I mean, literally the size of a car. This is not unheard of. There's a guy out near Abilene who says, dude, he's like, in 1992, he goes, I killed a rabbit the size of a Volkswagen. And he said it looked demonic. You know, he said that he went out, he shot it because it was coming at him. And he said he went back to his house, you know, because he was in a car. And when he went to get his truck and he came back with his son, it was gone. And of course, in 1992, you know, this is a rancher. He's not like, you know, or not a rancher. He's the son of a farmer, not a rancher. But same, well, because farmers and ranchers, people think that's the same thing. They're not.
No, one's animals, one's literally agriculture.
Yeah. My family are hybrids. They're like, all of them are farmers / ranchers. They all have cattle because everybody in Texas, if you have any land at all, you're probably going to have some cattle or something, sheep. And they own land and they farm it, and they also have cattle, a lot of them. A lot of us have moved into the city, and I'm a city boy now. But when you look at this weird phenomenon with these giant rabbits, now, the guy on Abilene, his story was not the same. Like, it did not. I'm not going to even get into the description. I will do a story. I will put these in like a paranormal. What do we call it? What's it called? Where we do different types of stories?
Potluck.
Potluck. Paranormal. I can't remember the freaking name. Paranormal. I can remember all these other things, and then I forget that. Like, what is your phone number? You're like, no. But I can tell you a story I got yesterday out of Cleveland, Texas. Let me get in. Look, now, here it is. You know, I believe that my friend Roger, he used to call it the brain. He used to call it the mind trade-off, like, or the trade-off of the mind. Like, you get certain things, but then you lose other things because we're not the Anunnaki. We don't have 12 strands of DNA open to us that we can do all these different things.
Maybe you don't, but I
okay.
I think I do.
I forgot the great noodle arm over here does have that ability.
Have you seen my Instagram posts? I'm now udon.
You're udon?
Udon.
Nagori udon?
The big ones.
Oh, okay. Nagori udon. Oh, how's the Mazda? But the thing is, when you look at these stories, And you, like I said, you got to pull threads. And I wish more podcasters and more authors would pull those threads and follow those lines, because when you do, you will start to see patterns that weren't there. Everything is patternistic. And it also gives credence to the thought that maybe we are living in some kind of matrix. You know? Well, let me undo my headphones here, and then we're going to call our guests. Rude to keep him waiting. But, you know, that story is very bizarre. So I asked him, I said, what happened after that? He said, nothing. I went inside crying. And he goes, for years, everybody thought I was crazy because these things moved back into the woods and they were gone. And, you know, they didn't hurt me. He goes, but I am convinced, he goes, something would have happened. He believes that him and his little cousin may have been hurt or abducted if they hadn't been a bunch of people around. And he thinks that one of his aunts, well, I couldn't talk to her because she's now deceased. She died of cancer, but she was walking up to the scene of this. And, you know, he thinks she saw it because she grabbed them and pulled them away, but she would never talk about it. But shortly before her death, he talked to her at the hospital and said, he goes, when I was a kid, I saw this giant rabbit on Easter, and she said yes. She couldn't talk real good. She was dying. But so, I mean, he took that as confirmation that she believed it. She saw it.
Do you think it's one of those things that we talked about before, casting illusions? Because it is Easter. I mean,
and so it's trying to get those kids to be like, "Hey, come with me."
It recognizes, yeah.
Except I have giant canine-like teeth, and
well, it can't be perfect. I think like they can only imitate a certain part of it.
Close to perfect is satanic.
Well, when you see a mascot and you're trying to imitate it, wouldn't you think like, "Oh, I got to make that a living creature"?
These demons, they try to imitate humans, and
they see that thing and they think like, "Oh, that's what they're into." It's like this big stuffed rabbit thing.
You're going down that the rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole.
The lady from Louisiana is what I know you paid attention for that story because I remember what's talking about it. There was a lady in Louisiana who was being plagued by visions of her husband. Was it Louisiana?
I don't remember the place.
Yeah, I thought it was Louisiana, but anyway, she said that she was being plagued by it was a woman that came to us, and she told us like in person, and she said, my auntie believes, she was an African-American woman. She said, I believe that she thinks she's seen her husband. And I don't believe that's what it is. She said, oh, he's got the most beautiful green eyes. And I'm like, that's not your husband. Because the evil can only imitate to the certain point, you know what I mean? And I believe that. That's why the skinwalkers look so weird. J.C. Johnson used to talk about it all the time. I wish the man was still alive. Right now, I'd like to take a moment to remember the people who passed on. May is a rough month for me, folks, and so I've lost 5 people that I was very close to in my life. And then every May for 3 years, I lost somebody. My friend John Kelly, and then Willie Williams, and then the next year, my mother. Like, boom, boom, boom. And it was rough. My Tia Hova technically died on June 1st, but she was dying and was, dying in May. And here's a weird one. My grandmother actually died in March. Having gone to the funeral and gone through the grieving process of the person, one of the people who I loved the most in the entire world, I know when she died. But now it's March. And I saw that the other day and I was like, what? So the Mandela effect is weird, and it makes you feel like you're losing your mind, and maybe I am. I asked several people and they thought it was May too. So that's a hard one to wrap my mind around. I'm pretty sure she died in May, but whatever. May has been an absolute, and there's been a few others too that I wasn't as close to, but they passed away in May. I don't know what May, I don't know why. It's been a house of horrors for me. So May is rough. But I will tell you this. I'm going to power through it, and I'm losing work left and right, and you know what? When you're walking through hell, you know what you do? You just keep walking. You're going through hell, you just keep going. What is that?
It's raining.
I hope it's raining, not hail.
No, it's rain.
Hate to have another insurance claim I have to deal with. That'd be freaking super spectacular. So when you look at what's going on, like with these people who've passed away, Carrie Arnold, I was trying to get something going so I could collaborate. I barely got to just get to know. I tried to get to know the guy, and I barely said, "Hey, I'm going to try to work with this guy," and then he passed away. It was unfortunate. Brenton Salwin. We had started talking about how we were going to collaborate and do something. He passed away. My friend Scott Martis, Linda Godfrey, J.C. Johnson, and of course, going back, Rosemary Ellen Guy. I never met her. She was a hero of mine, I guess. Somebody I would have loved to have, I got recently interviewed for Kenny Irish's book, and he asked me about my heroes in the field, and I said that was one of them, Rosemary Ellen Guy. But just remember those people, because May has been a rough month of, for people passing from me.
You guys, if you hear a lot of background noise, it's raining currently, so we can't really control that.
So let me call this guy here. Hopefully y'all can hear me.
It's supposed to be thunderstorming since 2.
It sounds like it's coming in waves.
Yeah.
I don't think they can hear it over the mics.
Let's hope not.
We can.
No.
It's like a little pad. I hear it in my headphone.
Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, look at the comments. They're saying they don't hear it. You're not hearing it through your headphones. You're hearing it through the headphones, but not.
Sugar says she hears it. I'm telling you, they can hear it.
Headphones on.
Josh,
Hello?
what's up, buddy? Can you hear me?
Good.
There's no sound coming through on my end.
I'm not hearing anything.
Hold on.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Jeremiah?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, we just can't hear him. Hold on, let's see if we can get this going here.
Okay.
I think I got you now. Can you hear me, Jeremiah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I definitely.
A little loud, actually.
I got.
Yeah, we're
A
turning
little
it.
loud?
Yeah, you were like, ah.
No, we got to fix
Okay,
it.
hold on.
Yeah, you sounded like you were singing, let the bodies hit the
that
block.
better?
For a minute there, I was like, oh my gosh. So Jeremiah, introduce yourself. Tell the audience who you are, what you do.
Yeah. 44 years old. Teach. I've been in religion all my life. My father owns a ton of land up here in the Adirondacks. My wife and I are fortunate to have a small piece of that. The pictures of zoology haven't.
Hold on a second.
Jeremiah, hold on. There's an echo. It's echoing really bad. Not in my headphones, but it's echoing on the show. So we got to fix that real quick. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. We're good.
Okay, I think we got it fixed now. Okay, can go ahead and speak.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, 44 years old. Been doing cryptozoology, Bigfoot investigation, got into Dogman about 5 years ago. Been doing this whole thing close to 20 years. My dad, I come from a logging family, and my father owns an extraordinary amount of land. My wife and I are lucky enough to have a cabin on a plot of it, which we have a family of about 6 Sasquatch on it. We have many other places we have investigated, but this is our spot. It's really we go in the woods. We had a good chance of seeing one. I was with Will Jennings' group for about 10 years. nothing against the Gemini guys. Solid due respect in the world in them, but a bunch of us left due to philosophical differences, and decided to go on our own. And that's how I got hooked up with Nick Valente, who I do On the Trail in Search of Living Legends with, and all the guys on the Scoop and Session Bigfoot podcast as well.
And
Had
you
my
were a
first
former
sighting back.
You were
Yeah,
a
go
former
ahead.
fighter
And-
too. I wanted to say that you were a former professional fighter too.
Yes, former MMA. Yeah, and submission grappling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been in Brazil a couple times, Thailand. You know, it was fun. Fun while it lasted, but you know as well as I do, Josh, the box for your body can't put up with it forever.
No, not at all. I stopped doing all that when I was like 30.
Same here.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you can't, because getting hit in the head, it does. For me, I was just like, I didn't want. I already had a couple concussions, and it was just like, but you like on your profile, you have like a picture of you like fighting or whatever. And so all the respect in the world for that. So I was going to tell you.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been on your show, and I don't remember when that was, but we did a heck of a show together one time. I remember we talked.
Yeah, we did. That was about 3 years ago, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe
that was one hell of a show. I think we had you on a couple times.
No, I was only on with you once, but I've been on with Nick on other shows. Yeah, it was really long. Yeah.
Yeah, it was long. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah. So you got into the Bigfoot thing with Jennings, right? And then y'all went your own way, but you've done a ton of investigating. Yeah. And where do you hail from?
I was into it before that, but then after my second sighting, I needed the answers. That's when I became a full-blown investigator, and I contacted him and was with him for years. And then, about 5 years ago, a bunch of us decided to head out on their own. Like I said, all the respect in the world of them. It's just philosophical differences, that's all.
What part of the country are you from?
Up in the Adirondacks, upstate New York. I could literally, from my land out back, I could walk across the Canadian border.
Mm-hmm. That area of upstate New York, we get a lot, and we just did it. I thought it was a good timing. We just did one on the Pale Crawler, which is the rake, but we just did that on Tuesday. Yeah. We dropped that episode, but a lot of people claim to see it in that area. And in fact, one of Anthony's Facebook friends that he used to be friends with or whatever, a guy named Charles, like he had told us that he saw one floating like in the water and then coming up out of it, which was really bizarre encounter. It was in upstate New York, far upstate New York. And,
we just go ahead, sorry, Josh.
No, you're the guest.
Nick and I just interviewed a guy that saw one. And the weird part about it is he said it came crawling at him like a spider almost. And this is in New York as well. And the family group of Sasquatch he studies, well, the alpha male came out and let out a beller. And this thing immediately turned around and took off. So he felt he was in serious danger, and he sincerely believes that Sasquatch came out and, scared it off.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, because a lot of people, I get reports of like people seeing like Bigfoot and Dogman engaging these creatures. I don't know. Yes. Sometimes like the story I just told from somebody who gave me one out of Tyler, Texas, where they saw a bunny-looking creature. They see like a giant bunny rabbit, but it was a giant rabbit looking, but it was evil. And it was sitting next to a Bigfoot, and they weren't fighting or anything like that. I never get stories of like crawlers being anything but hostile toward other cryptids or whatever. Yeah, they're just hostile. I've never gotten one where they said, "Oh yeah, this thing is docile and it hangs out with Dogman and Bigfoot." No, they're usually, if they're around each other, they're fighting and killing each other. I've heard of Dogman and Bigfoot cohabiting peacefully, but not with these crawlers.
I have as well.
Yeah. So tell us about your encounters. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say up here they don't play nicely together because I notice my Sasquatch leave in November, the ones we have on the property, and they don't come back until about April. And in between those times is when the other ones move in.
The Dogman?
Yeah. They come in here. They come in for the winter time. And the Sasquatch are back for the spring and summer. which is weird because I have heard, taking reports and heard other parts of the country that people see them hanging out together, which is kind of strange, but I'm sure they have their reasons for it,
Yeah, up there where you're at, I mean, like, and you've done, not only have you had your own encounters, we're going to get into that in a second, but you've done investigations. I have a question for you, and I know that area,
yes.
and a lot of it stems from that, up in that area, a little above you, too, like the Algonquin legends.
Yeah.
The Delaware, they had their own legends about it. What are they called? The other tribe, Micmac.
Iroquois. I'm part Mohawk, actually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine, Fled Eagles Mohawk, he's on my Facebook. He's actually an actor. And his wife's a former Olympic medalist.
Wow.
She's an actress, too. Yeah, they're good people. And they're twins. His wife's sister runs a nutrition store here, Yvonne. TFN. If you're ever in Austin, that's where you get your supplements. Trust me, she can give you anything. She gave me this all natural supplement for pain, and it calms you. I've never had anything. It's so amazing. Lowers my blood pressure.
Wow.
It's awesome. But anyway,
awesome.
So what you were telling me when we were talking one day, me and you, we had kind of got into the whole Gugwe thing, and I wanted to touch on that. Like you field reports of what looks like a Bigfoot, but it actually has a snout.
Yes, being that I have Native American relatives, they will talk about it, but usually I've heard other people like Nick, for example, the Native Americans by him won't even talk about it. Yeah. But maybe that's because I'm part Native. I don't know, and they'll talk to me about it. But I thought I sent you the picture a long, long time ago. I was riding down the 4-wheeler trail, and I felt like something was watching me, so I stopped, and I heard movement in the brush, and I started looking pictures of the brush, and I sent it to one of my research partners, and he said, "Get the hell out of there now." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He would just go, and this is when we were living off the grid on the property before he built the cabin. Went back to the camper, looked through my pictures, and I see this baboon-looking creature staring straight at me.
You did. I do believe you sent me a couple pictures. The thing is, I don't repost pictures, and Anthony can attest. We have about 1,000. We have about 1,000 pictures.
Sure, I bet.
We don't repost them because we made a decision as a team that people are just going to go, "Oh, that's fake. That's not real. That's fake." And that's a picture of me and my mom when I was at the fair when I was 12. No, it's fake. It's not her. That's not really her. No,
we go through the same stuff. That's why we don't do it either.
Yeah, that's what me and actually me and Nick talked about that too, because no matter what, because Nick, you know how he talks, he's like, you can take a picture of a birthday cake and they'd be like, that's a fake cake, it's not real, you shouldn't eat it, because that's how people are. They're just not, and you're going to have a big fight on your hands. And so my group is approaching like 9,000 people on the Facebook group. And I let people post whatever. You're there, y'all are there, and it's fine. Right. If you guys want to throw it on there, but I don't want it to be from me, because then everybody's like, "Oh, you're trying to sucker people in with pictures that aren't real," and it doesn't matter what the picture is. It could be a picture of my left shoe. They're going to say it's not real.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, I saw the picture. It's compelling. I mean, I believe when a lot of times these people, like I got one out of Mississippi the other day, and this lady, it looks legit, bro, for real. I mean, like a Sasquatch, like it looks legit. But I mean, if I post it on there, I'm going to get ridiculed. Now I send it to a few, different people, around the community. I guess I could hit you up and send it to you, but it's just you can't win with the pictures. And now with the AI, people are like, "Oh, that's AI."
God.
Yeah. Like the other day, my nephew's sitting right here. He sent me a picture of himself, and he looked very handsome. And I was like, "That's not him." I knew it was AI. I was like,
It's definitely not me.
I was doing it.
And then that one of my brother looked like he was normal looking on there. I said, "That ain't, what the heck?" He looks less like Rasputin now. That's not the case. But so Jeremiah, you tell me about your encounters. The fans, I'm sure, here want to hear about what happened to you.
Yeah, well, ever since we owned the same, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on. A lot of weird stuff happened down there when I was a kid. Vocalizations, types of footprints. I had a relative that saw one before I even did. it was in 2000 muzzleloader season, and I'm sitting in the tree stand, and this is before we even built down there. This is way before. I had my truck parked at the beginning of the drive, and I had about a 2 mile walk back to my tree stand, which is overlooking a natural artesian spring. So I sat there a while, and it was getting to be the time of day. So I said, "Yeah, better get going." So I walked down the stairs, and I start walking back on the logging road, and I get about, I don't know, halfway there, and my father has an old skidder, like from the 1940s. I don't know what the heck he's still got it doing down there, but he does. He's a hoarder. I see a head and a amberish set of eyes glaring at me. Like you can actually see the conical head. I'm about 40 feet away from this thing, and by this time I got my headlamp lit up, and it popped back behind the skidder. Now there's two logs down horizontally from me. One's about 12 feet away from the front of the skidder. One's about 15 feet away from that next one. Well, all of a sudden, this thing took a leap, and it hit the first log. And Josh, when I tell you, how when human beings take a jump, they'll bend their knees, swing their arms, and take a leap double-footed?
Yeah.
With this thing, when it came out, it leapt that 12 feet, and it could have been more than 12 feet. It could have been standing behind, at the back of the skidder by this point. I don't know. So it was a long leap. And when this thing hit that log, all it did was propel. The only word I can think of was propel itself off the tip of its feet, launch itself to that next log, launched itself off of that one about another 15 feet, went behind a tree. And I'm just standing there in shock. Like, am I really looking at what I think I'm looking at? It looked like an orangutan at first. So I'm thinking to myself, does someone have an ape around here? They got loose, Yeah. So this thing comes around the tree and is doing that typical Sasquatch sway, back and forth. And it's a juvenile. And it was no more, I would say no more than 5 feet. But when I say 5 feet, this thing was put together. I would guess the weight anywhere between 185, 190 pounds, 200 pounds maybe. And when I tell people that, they're like, well, that's not that big. Yeah, for 5 foot, that's jacked. 195, 200 pounds, that's put together, And it was doing the typical Sasquatch sway, and I had it lit right up at this point. And auburnish, like a auburn brown color. Had the conical head, not like you see in the Patty film, not that kind of conical head. It was like in between roundish and conical. Like I said, it was getting to be that hour of the day. All I had on me was a headlamp. I wanted to get a better look at this thing. Now, I say to the listeners out there, I'm not pro-kill, but I wanted to get a better look at this thing. So I had a scope on my muzzleloader. I pull up and go to take a look at it. And as soon as I pulled the weapon up, the thing covered its face up with its right arm, hopped back behind that tree. I heard it run for a little ways, and then it was gone. It seemed like it disappeared in thin air.
Wow.
I don't know if it was an angle behind that tree or it found that it figured out it couldn't see me, or if they're notorious for laying down in that army crawl. Maybe that's what it did. I don't know. But yeah, it was small, but damn put together at the same time.
Yeah.
And the eyes were just, I had never seen anything like it in my life.
What do you think about?
Never.
What are your thoughts on this? I had Lisa Lycan on a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were talking on there about what, like they have some sort of connection. And I don't want to sound all hippy dippy, whatever, but they have like a connection to the trees, and that they can move in and out of like foliage, and it doesn't make any sense. Like I've heard people like this guy who was on a 4-wheeler up in not Wisconsin, Vermont. and he was riding on a four-wheeler, and he sees one right in the trail, and he goes behind the tree. So it doesn't come back out, and he's like, I can't like reverse, He's like, there were a couple spots that he had to push his four-wheeler through, so he was like, I'm just going to have to drive by this and hope for the best. And he goes,
they just disappear.
They disappear. He gunned it, and it was like the tree wasn't big enough to hide this guy. You know what I mean? And this guy was gone, And I say guy, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. I just know that it was a squatch, and he... It looked absolutely flesh and blood. He goes, I looked down, I saw footprints. He goes, and I wanted to stop, but he goes, I'm not going to stop right there with this 8-foot tall monstrosity. And the same thing, it was that auburn color you were talking about. That's the one time I think I may have seen one. And my friend Lyle Blackburn, I don't know if you know Lyle, I'm sure.
Of course.
Okay, we were talking about this, and he's like me. He doesn't say, hey, I had an encounter. But he did tell me on the when we were riding together for the conference, we had talked about all this different stuff, and mostly about writing, and that's what inspired me to start writing. But he had said that he was like, dude, when I was doing the Falcon investigation, he said that he saw something in the distance that it looked like the color of an orangutan, like that orangey, reddish brown, whatever. And the one time I think I may have seen something, that's what color it was. And that was off of Row Lane, or outside of Austin, between Rawson and Pflugerville here in Texas. And my wife saw it like dead on, like from the side profile. Didn't have a snout, so we know it wasn't a Dogman. And we've both had Dogman encounters. And so it was like, she goes, that's a Sasquatch. She starts screaming, and I'm like, because I didn't know she was yelling because all the cows were on one side of the pasture. And I said, it's the cows, honey. She goes, turn the truck around. And so I said, okay. I went up on the curb. I turned the truck around, I put down the hooch and decided to do my job. I'm just kidding. I didn't put the hooch down. And so I was like, I looked over and I was like, what is that? And she goes, I said, that's got to be a cow. She's like, look how tall that is. And it like went down real quick and then went behind a tree. Same thing. And then it was gone. And we waited and waited. And it never came out. And so part of me was like, I'm going to get out with a flash. I'm going to go up there. And she's like, no. And then we sat there for a minute, and then we were like literally like rock, paper, scissors if we should both go up there. And all I had was a pea shooter on me, like I had I'm like, this is not, a 9mm is not going to stop this thing.
No.
So I was like, I'm not going up there. So we decided against it, and 30 minutes of sitting there and nothing. It disappeared. I mean, it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
And then,
it is bizarre.
I think he was trying to take a steer. I think he was trying to kill a steer. I really did. I think he got interrupted.
Without a doubt.
But how they can cloak and move in and out, Jeremiah, is beyond my understanding.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. Yes, then, after that encounter, I started to wonder a little bit and, get into it deeper. But I really didn't have I wasn't really organized yet, So I went out a couple more times, and at first they were still talking about Outback. They still weren't quite used to me because I've been out of the area fighting for a while and this and that, wrestling in college. And I went in with a buddy one night at about 2 a.m, and we were politely escorted out. I think they were on a hunt, and on our way out, we could hear one on each side of us pacing us out. When we'd stop, the footstep would stop. When we started walking again, they'd begin again. And they followed us probably 100 feet of the truck, then they stopped, and we got out of there real quick. But that was right before the encounter in 2007, which is the one that changed my life. It was actually going to be rifle season, and I decided to go down and fix up my tree stand a little bit. And I get in the tree stand after I'm done working on it. I said, I might as well sit for a little bit, see if I can see anything. Granted, it wasn't quite season yet, so I wasn't going to shoot anything. I just wanted to see what I could see. So all of a sudden I hear an ungodly moan somewhere between a moan and a howl. You know what I'm talking about.
Not really.
I said,
but
okay.
I'm messing with you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
The hair on my arm stood up. I mean, all senses were going to overload. It was extremely quiet. I got out, and when you go to get back in the logging road from that tree stand, you have to pass that natural artesian spring, and in about 5 feet off the bank, I saw what looked like a tree. And I get closer and I get closer, and I get about 40 feet away, and I'm thinking, that's no tree. And then she turned her hips and she started staring at me. And same with her. She was that brownish. She was more of a brown than a auburn. The water came up to about six inches below her knee, and what I could measure from that point up, I would guess from where the water was about 7.5 feet. So she was a big girl. And the same with her. She didn't have that pointed conical head. She had it was something in between a rounded head and a conical, right in between. The most impressive part on her, Josh, was her buttocks area and her thighs. Just massive. And she did have breasts. They didn't hang as low as Patty's. I don't know if it's because she wasn't as mature as Patty was, or if she hadn't bred yet, or what. But she was a pretty big girl. I would figure she was pretty mature, but they just didn't sag as low as a Patty.
What about the face?
I'd say the face. Face did not have any hair. The face a little bit lighter, like a light tan. Flattened nose. Her mouth. And I'm going to tell you about something about the eyes in a second that happened to me. And I couldn't believe it. But anyway, the mouth. Look, this is an exaggeration when I say this. The mouth at the time, I was in such shock. It looked to me like it went from ear to ear, and then she could just tip her head open and bite my head off like a pest dispenser. You know, that's how big it looked to me at the time. But it was extremely wide. The lips were actually a lot thinner than I thought they would be. Now her eyes, I had my 300 mag on my right hand shoulder, and she's looking at me, dead square in the eyes, and I see her eyes turn towards that 300 Magnum, and I said, "Oh boy, here we go." So basically, my gut, I don't know if it was a mind speak type thing or if it was just my gut telling me what I thought she was saying. Pretty much, go ahead, skin that smoke wagon, see what happens. You can go ahead and take it down, but I'm going to get to you before you get to me. And I didn't do anything. She didn't do anything. She just continued to stare. As she started staring back at me, there was when sharks bite into a piece of seal, how they have that thing that comes up that covers their eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Came from the bottom of her eyelid, and she did an eye flicker at me about 5 times. And to this day, I have no clue. I've only heard of one other case that happened to somebody, and it was the Dogman. And I don't know if it's something to protect them against the elements, protect them against, when they're feeding or what. But this happened to me, and I couldn't believe it. If anyone out there has any theories on that, please let me know. He's been bugging me for years.
I can add a little bit to that. One time,
absolutely,
I saw a woman. Her eyes did that, right in front of me, and I'm not joking.
Really?
I'm I was literally sitting there in the line. This isn't a joke. This is a true. I mean, and I was I looked up and asked how much it was to put your card on the pad or whatever, and her eyes both kind of bounced up and down real quick, and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck?" And I had to adjust my eyes because it made my eyes feel weird, like seeing it.
Weird.
Now, I get a lot of stories, and like I said, I do believe that a big part of it is because in my show, and this, my show has become like a hub for the community. We get a lot of other podcasters and authors and other people that will watch the show, whether it live or on a replay. They watch the live stream and everybody kind of checks it out. The smaller podcasters, a lot check it out, whatever. And so, but I was one of the people, like I said this at the beginning of the show, who would take people's stories and not just reject them because they're just doing Bigfoot, or they're just doing ghosts, or they're just doing aliens, or they're just doing Dogman. I would take everything. And I was willing to talk about all these different subjects because I wanted to talk about it all. That's why it's the round table of discussion. Yeah. And so I get stories from everybody because they know there's no judgment here. I just saw somebody in the chat earlier. They said that they liked that they can talk about they had a ghost encounter. Who said that earlier? One of you guys can look for that. She said something I wanted to tell her that's absolutely correct. There's no judgment here. So we talk about all of these different subjects, and because of that, there is no judgment. But you know, some of these shows, you know, like they're like, well, we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about Bigfoot. So if you talk about anything that goes beyond what they personally believe about that one small particular subject, then that's it. They don't that it goes off the rails. So I managed to reach a wider audience, and now you got somebody like you who says, look, I saw this on a Bigfoot. Yes, I have heard of this. This isn't unheard of, and I've gotten these stories. Some people would say, and I'm not saying this is what separates me from the other guys, but, you know, it is, because one of the things that people will do is they'll go, that doesn't fit the narrative that I'm currently believing because this is where I'm at this stage of my investigations. And so I'm going to throw that out, the baby out with the bathwater. That didn't happen. So if you were to go on some people's shows, they would be like, well, we're going to leave that part out because that doesn't jibe with what I want people to believe or what I believe. And so you get stories from people with all sorts of different, you know, and I have a file. It's a folder of just weird. So you know that if there's a file that says weird at my house, it's got to be, because everything we talk about is beyond normal. It's paranormal. It's weird.
Yeah.
So when you go into the weird file, I'm talking weird, you know. And so I was digging around in there the other day when Anthony told me, hey, you have 45,000. How many was it? How many emails was it? 41,000 or something like that. And of that, about half of it was like, it wasn't all stories, but it was, you know, I needed to clear out my email. I had about half of that was stuff having to do with the show. And so I salvaged what I could, and I had to, because I was about to run out of space, and so I had to make a new account with it and start putting stuff in files and stuff, saving things. And so I went through a bunch of stuff. It took me 2 days, or just an entire weekend. And I was just sitting there looking through, you know, like, well, this one looks good, this one looks good. And it was, one of them actually came up, and it said Reptoid, and it was like literally Rhode Island Reptoid. I didn't know what it was. And so I opened it up, and I filed it away under really weird. And what it was is, according to this person, okay, they were, and I just read this maybe a week or two ago, and I remember it. The guy was driving along, and I'm probably going to retell this story on one of the podcast folks, so bear with me. Don't go, he's retelling the same tired story. You know, they get all, whatever, they get all, you know, gripey or whatever, because it's like, I heard this one on the show already, wasting my time. There's 2 minutes I'll never get back in my life. So, you know, literally this guy, he was driving, and he said that he fell asleep at the wheel, and he woke up to someone knocking on the window, and it was raining. And he goes, dude, the sun was out. It was daylight. I wake up, and it's nighttime, and it's raining. And there's a guy there who's got a flashlight, and he's got like what looks like a police, you know, get up and everything. And he he rolls the window down part way, and the guy's like, are you okay? He goes, you know, I found you on the side of the road here. And he looks at what the time is, and he's like, it was 1 o'clock when I fell asleep. I was really tired. I was like going home after getting a bunch of stuff done. And he said that his time was at 6 o'clock. And he said that this person, when he looked at the guy's eyes fluttered and did that weird, like what you're talking about, you know, and he goes, dude, and then he goes, no, I'm okay. He said at that point, all I wanted to do was put this guy off long enough to get him away from me. And then he said he saw lights, like flashing lights. He thought, okay, there's another one. Is this you know? And he said he turned and he looked, and the first guy was gone. And then
Wow.
when the second guy came walking up, it was an actual cop. He says actual cop because he thinks the first one was not real. And I said, so what do you think was happening? Were you hallucinating? Was, and this was only like a couple years ago. It was like 2018 or something like that. And it wasn't that long ago. And he said, dude, he said, if I didn't know any better, I think the guy had turned into a reptilian. He's like, it was weird. Wow. His eyes did that fluttery thing and then they slid it up. But I get tons of reports of reptilian activity and stuff because I've talked about it on the show, before. And we've discussed it, and I believe I had an encounter with one where at a nightclub where a bunch of my friends were involved in that, and I've even had them come on the show and talk about it. But it turned into an altercation with this being or whatever he was. Yeah. Wasn't a normal person. I think he was a hybrid of some kind. That's my opinion, and that's what I believe. But this guy, he said, dude, I don't know what that was. I don't know how I was that tired. I went to sleep. He was taking medication, though. But he's like, it wasn't like, I had never taken it before. But he goes, but it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that I might have taken too much, and maybe it made me sleepy, And so when he went and he said, I don't remember pulling over off the side of the road. I don't remember any of this. But this person coming to me, and it looked not like a natural person. And when he walked away, it was like he was jerky when he was walking away.
Oh, wow.
And then this second person was like, are you okay? And he believed it was a real police officer. And he was like, no. I was like, this person just tried to talk to me. He goes, the other officer. And he goes, what other officer? And he's like, well, I just saw another police officer. He's like, are you okay? And he's like, and then at that point, he was like about to get in trouble with the police for being, wonkies. He goes, you know what? I take medication. He showed him what it was. And the cop was like, okay. And he followed him home, which he wasn't but 2 miles from his house. He gets home and his wife's like, I've been trying to call you. We didn't know where you were at. And her and his son drove by where he was parked at least 2 or 3 times and didn't see his car.
Oh, wow.
So it gets really weird. So that was filed under weird, but you get these kind of stories and with the eyes fluttering and things like that. And now there's a precedent for that too. Like in Bigfoot, I got one out of Washington, which is Sasquatch country,
okay.
And this hunter, he claimed that he was out, and he actually ran into one. And he said this was like back in 1979. He's an older guy, but he said that it was right in his face. And he said that it looked like he thought maybe it wasn't like it was old. Maybe it couldn't see good because it was sniffing the air. And he goes, it was only a few feet in front of me. And it was like, he said, but then the eyes kind of flickered and they the pupils got bigger and then kind of adjusted. And he said, dude, it was so weird. He goes, and then it was like it looked right at me. But it was like its face literally changed, right before his eyes. No pun intended. Yeah,
it was extremely, extremely, extremely weird.
Yeah,
one of my weirder.
So there is a precedence for that. Yeah, it is very bizarre. Is this? And so you've seen 2 Bigfoot in that area. You said the Adirondacks. That's where you were at.
Adirondacks, yeah. And then what she did was, I gotta say, her from, I said the most impressive part about it was her hip area. But I take that back. It wasn't the shoulders are wide. I would say about 3.5 feet wide, 4 feet wide. But the back to front had to have been 2.5 feet. So she was thick. And I would say if I had to guesstimate a weight, I'd say 800 pounds. I think people underestimate the weight of these things.
Oh yeah, density.
I mean, if you take my wife had an encounter, which I'll get to later. It's about she saw a big 10-footer. And, I would say something that size would have to weigh close to 1,500 pounds.
Wow. That's incredible.
But what she did, Josh, was she, as soon as she realized it wasn't a threat, she took a leap onto the shore, took 3 more leaps, and she was gone. I went back the next day with 4 friends, all armed. So I was scared out of my mind at this point. We found the scuff marks when she jumped out of the water. They were 21 feet apart apiece, which means she went 63 feet and 3 leaps like lightning. like absolute lightning.
Yeah, when this was going on, and I mean, fear is a relative thing. It depends. Were you afraid? Because some people say, "Well, I wasn't afraid," but were you afraid?
I was scared to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I've never been afraid in my
yeah.
life. I don't know what that's like ever. I've never been afraid ever.
It just for a while it froze me, and it took me forever to come back to my well state of being. You know.
Yeah. Sorry
Took me a
that
while.
happened to you. That's terrible. But like I said, I don't ever get afraid. So I'm joking. I was terrified when I saw the Dogman. I was terrified. I mean, I had nightmares for, it was pretty bad. I was just talking about it with a friend the other day about, and I was going over excerpts of my book that I'm writing and I'm trying to finish out. And, I have to be honest with the readers, the listeners, everybody. It was I was scared to death. Like I couldn't move, and then I walked as fast as I could, and then ran. And I was like, I probably looked goofy, wobbling. I didn't poop my pants, but if I had eaten more that day, I may have. It was pretty bad. It was a terrifying thing, and people, like I've had people ask me, "Were you afraid?" And I'm like, "No, never afraid, ever." One time I got on a motorcycle. My whole life, I got on a motorcycle one time as a teenager. And that's the only time I revved the engine, not knowing what I was doing. I was like, how do you do this? I just, like this, and I took off, and then I flipped, and I flew 20 feet up in the air, and it was like slow motion, like Satori, like, hello, darkness, my old friend. And you're like, I'm about to hit the earth again, and boom. And I was like in excruciating pain, and I thought, I am never getting on a motorcycle again. Well, I did. I got on a dirt bike one time, and I started to lose control, and then I held control. But luckily, I was in the desert, and so I just went straight for about, 40 yards, and then I said, enough of this. Something's going to happen. So I stopped. And I've been on quads a lot of times, but motorcycles, I'm scared. I see the overpass.
Yeah, same here.
And
Same
I'm like,
here.
look at these people. Like, dude, if I hit the side on this overpass, chances are I'm probably not going to flip and go 60 feet down to my death. If you do this on a bike, you're done. I mean, that's it. You're done. You are absolutely done. There's nothing you can do. There's no coming back from it. I watched a video of a guy go off of the overpass, and I just thought, oh, my gosh. And, there's certain things that scare the crap out of me, dude. Like, get in the ocean, and there's sharks around you. And one time when I was young, I saw one, like a pretty good-sized one right by me. And my dad's like, there's no sharks out here. Port Aransas has no sharks. He lied like he always did to get me to do things. And I'm like, Dad, I just saw a shark. And so I went under the water, and I opened my eyes, and it was salt water. And I'm like, but I could see it. I saw the tail going away, and I would estimate it was about 8-9 feet. And
That's
I go,
terrifying.
I don't know what kind it was, and I got the heck out of there. My dad's like, it's only up to my waist. Well, for me, it was up to my chest, and I was a little kid. And I said, dude, I'm not gonna get eaten. And then I was worried about my dad. I was like, well, I guess he's gonna die out there because he stayed out there swimming around and showing me there was nothing to be afraid of. And then you hear this crap about, they're as afraid of you as you are of them. Yeah. I had a friend got bit by a rattlesnake. He told me that. They're afraid of us. You. His hands swelled up. He's in the hospital for 3 months. Yeah, I'm going to take my chances on that. They aren't as afraid of us as we are of them.
Yeah, I kind of sided with you on that one.
If that Bigfoot's mouth was wide open like that could bite your head off, what does she have to be afraid of us for? She's like, oh my God. Humans, like literally ants, let me run. There's nothing to be afraid of. You can literally bite its head off. What are you scared of? That's like picking up my bird and going like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. Like this bird's this big. I could bite its head off. Like Ozzy Osbourne.
Exactly.
I mean, it's terrifying.
I've actually gotten a picture of her since then.
Really?
I think
so
I may have sent that.
Again?
I'll send it to you again. It's kind of blurry, but you can see it was on Chris Reinhardt's show, and you can see he brought it up, and we all pointed out different things. You can see the brow ridge, you can see the semi-coned head, you can see the breasts, and it actually looks like she's holding something in her on her left shoulder. So thinking maybe a baby, I don't know, but you can see it. It's a little bit blurry. You can see it clear as day. I'll send it to you again tomorrow.
Post it in the Paranormal Roundtable group, and so that way I don't have to get attacked. If I posted in there, they'd be like, "Look at this guy. We could find a way in to hate him even more, if that's possible."
Yeah, I'll take the beat for that one.
Yeah. Thanks, man. You're a fighter, dude. I appreciate it. I knew I could count on you to take the heat for me. So you've seen the Bigfoot more than that, then through what 3 times?
More than
now?
that, yeah. We saw another one the summer of 2000. My wife, she's got an amazing story. She likes to blueberry pick on the land, and she said, "I'm going for a ride to pick some blueberries." So she went for a ride, and she says, "My God," she's like, "they're all gone." And I said, "Okay, just go back tomorrow. We'll look for more." So she drove back further, and she found some. And as she's picking, she said she could feel something watching her. And she turned around, and there he was, 20 feet away from her. And
oh my gosh.
Just staring at her, stared back at each other. And she, you believe it or not, my wife's a paranormal investigator by trade, and she said it was a very peaceful moment, almost like they were admiring each other. I know that sounds weird, but that's she swears by it. And when she had come back, I said, "You saw one, didn't you?" I could tell by the look on her face. And I was like, "Well, let's go check it out." And I said, show me the limb he walked under when he turned away from you. And she showed me. So I got on top of the 4-wheeler, and I gave her the bottom of the tape measure, and I brought it up, and the bottom of the tree measured out at 10'6". She said he only cleared it by a couple inches, which would have made him about 10'4". But back to you were saying how they just disappear. He walked behind a tree, and she could see one of the shoulders, but she couldn't see the other. And she said this thing was so massive, the shoulder has been 5.5 feet wide. Now you'd think just walking behind a tree, you'd see the whole back, except for the, down the middle where the tree was covering. And she said after that, it was just gone. It just disappeared.
It is so weird how they do that too. Like,
yeah.
I had a story from a guy here in Austin, and I get so many of them. And I got this one just like 2 days ago, and I thought I would talk to you about this one. I mean, this one's crazy.
Yeah.
It was off of 620. What is it? It's 2222 right there where we used to work, right? It's 20. Okay, so it's off of 620 and 2222 right there, and it was at 2 or 3 in the morning about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was really not, it's called Four Corners. There's not a lot that was there at that time. Now there was some growth. It was, but 20, years ago, it was getting old. 1999, so it would have been 4 years ago. And this guy was driving with his girlfriend, and he said that they were just talking, whatever. At that time, they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. They were on a date. So he wanted to take her out by the lake and drive around. It's really pretty out there, go by the dam. And so he was driving out there by the lake, and he told me this story because he had heard me talking about taking Nellie out by the dam or whatever on the other side where the docks are. And so he said, I did the same thing. And when we got to that Four Corners right there off of 620 and 2222, he said, I'll be damned, there was a Sasquatch-looking creature. It was squatted down in the middle of the road like it was scratching or reaching for something over its back. It stands up and it runs out in front of his vehicle almost like on cue. And he said his girlfriend was like, look out, there's something in the road. And he looks, and she described what it was doing before. He didn't see that part. She did. But as it ran out in front of the road, he said it was like, it just did like a turn and then was on the other side of the vehicle. And she said when they both looked to the right, it was gone. And he goes, it dodged the vehicle, but what did it do? Did it go flat? He said, I looked in my rearview mirrors, and he goes, and we just kept going, and we were just, he goes, I didn't blink until my eyes began to burn. He's like, I was just driving straight. And I don't know the guy personally, but he used to live in Austin, and now he lives in, I think, Gatesville or something, but he was driving along. He just, dude, it was crazy. It was like, it was there, and then it was, we should have seen it to our right, but it was gone. And you're just sitting there shaking your head. Like, how does that happen? Like, what do you think's going on with this?
It's weird. Same thing happened to Nick and I interviewed a buddy of mine that was, we were on JRG together years ago. He had one, he was researching a state park in Indiana. You probably know the one I'm talking about. But
Oh yeah, okay.
he had activity the whole night. He had seen one earlier in the night, and he decided to get out of there. And he hopped in his truck, and just as he's peeling out of the driveway, the parking area, one started chasing his vehicle. And at one time, he looked down at the speedometer. He was doing 55 miles an hour. He looked once; it was still there, hanging with the vehicle. He turned his head to see where he was going. He looked back, and it was gone. I mean, yeah, it could have ran in the woods, but that's awful quick. You know, you should have seen at least something. You know, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. I know the Army crawl is notorious for one.
That's the problem for me, Jeremiah, is like when everybody tries to convince me, well, not everybody, I'm over here generalizing, but some people in the community just want to convince me that they are just a physical flesh and blood creature. And I agree to a degree.
Same here.
I have to question, you know, they're not flesh and blood like I am. I know that.
No.
Because I can't do and perform the kind of tricks that they do, and I can't go behind a tree that's smaller, that's thinner than me, like a cartoon, and disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I used to be, you know. Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, I used to be part of the ape camp, you know, where I thought they were some sort of unidentified primate, but
Same here.
You know, when my philosophical views started to change on it, you know, when I experienced all orbs and stuff during investigations and during vocalizations and during sightings and just lights in the sky, weird stuff, paranormal activity. You know, all this stuff is, God, you know, some people think I'm nuts, but I think it's all correlated somehow. You know, there's proven that there's 11 dimensions out there. Why couldn't these things, when they're be interdimensional, but when they're in our world, they have to abide by our rules? You know, they have to defecate, they have to eat, they have to hunt. You know, so I don't know, man. But I do believe while they're here, if the portal thing is for real, which I don't know if it is, it's just a theory. When they're here, they are flesh and blood.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Let me ask you another question. And Jeremiah, I've always had very interesting conversations with you. And folks, if you've never heard Jeremiah's I like your work. Like, you've done a lot of research, and you're like me, you've evolved. I believe that's what the natural evolution of us as researchers, you know,
Yes,
is to start off going like, okay, you know, like this air can this is solid, you know, whatever. But if this air can goes and disappears, then you go, okay,
right.
Well, maybe it's more than just solid. Maybe it can do something else. That's just a natural progression, but I think a lot of people are following the old guard, and you got to understand something about the old guard. Bless their hearts, they were doing what they had to do. I love guys, you know, like you know, Meldrum and Coleman and Sanderson, but you know, they wrote work based on what they believed it to be. And then for them to change course and kind of go, okay, that's not really that. Now I'm going to write a book changing that. Linda Godfrey kind of did that. And that's one of the reasons why I really respected her, is she started to kind of, if you read her books, starting with Bray Road and go all the way to I Know What I Saw, and that she's a very dear friend and colleague of mine for years, okay? And I followed her for a long time. You will see a progression in her writing. Okay. And me and Barton Nunley were talking about that the other day. We were just talking about how she kind of progressed. And then, you know, I'm starting to see a shift in a lot of my colleagues, because I'm showing them reports and I'm like, look at this, dude. You got to talk to this person. This isn't normal. You know, you can, there's only so much rationalization that you can squeeze out of this, you know, whatever this is. I wouldn't say a tournament, say an onion, because it's got layers. You cannot squeeze. It's just so hard to, and they're just like, yeah, but I've written these books about this, about that. Yeah, I know. I get it. Your work was really stupid and you need to get rid of them. I'm just joking. I never said that to any of them. But I just said, look, I know you once thought that, but you have to, if you're getting accounts that contradict a lot of what, and it's going to the point where, it's taking another direction, you kind of have to switch course and go, that's what I did. I mean, I would talk about these stories, and I would say, look, this is what was told to me. Here's the story about, believe it if you want to believe it, or don't believe it if you don't want to believe it. I don't press anybody to believe anything, because these people may be it could be somebody out of their freaking mind or off their meds. I mean, that's happened to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could be. It's happened to me. I mean, actually, you get, but when you look at the situation though, where like you were talking about the eyes bouncing around, and then I can tell you over and over again, we've heard this. Yeah. And I think I did a pretty okay job on taking in everyone's stories, whereas in the early going, I was kind of being pushed by the powers that be to go, no, fall in line. It's a flesh and blood phenomena. Bigfoot, Dogman, they're all flesh and blood. It has nothing to do with spirits or alien abduction or nothing, time portals, none of that. It's all separate. Let's compartmentalize it. Let's keep ourselves separate from those other groups. Because, if we talk about Bigfoot and then invite ghost people are going to think we're cuckoo bananas. Well, this lady at the counter the other day at the cologne, perfume counter, whatever, she laughed when I was talking to this woman about Bigfoot, whatever. She goes, hee hee hee, I'm like, have y'all not noticed people already think we're goofy for believing in Bigfoot? Okay, so how much goofier does it matter if you believe in ghosts too? I knew you were stupid, boy, but damn, I didn't realize you was that stupid. I bet you don't even go to the same church as we do. The evangelical on the side of the road, Ebenezer, by the round of the bend. And who cares what these people believe? They're a bunch of freaking, that's stupid. It's like they're living up in the hills, and you're one of them people that drive around in them moving mobile cars, and a woman what can do math and all that other crazy, nonsense. You know what I mean? Like they're so far behind, and you feel sorry for these people because you're like, you are so backwards, dude. Like literally, you just said like 11 dimensions. I had an argument with a guy the other day, and Anthony, you know what I'm talking about. He's Russian. His dad is a scientist. I didn't argue with him, but he was like, well, it's pretty accepted that we only know that there are 8 dimensions. I said, well, Michikaku says there's 11. He goes, well, he's wrong. And so then I got on a group, which I'm in one of these groups, and I said something about the string theory. And this one guy, he caught on there, and he goes, I'm a Ukrainian scientist, and I blah, 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 and I don't believe in that. And so they got this really hardcore push that they're trying to make where people, they're discrediting the string theory. And I'm like, you can say what you want, and you can make math just like you can make anything fit whatever you want it to fit.
Right.
It doesn't make it true. And so this guy goes, what degrees do you have? And I'm like, thankfully none. I didn't waste my time like you did. I dropped out and became successful, but this guy, he starts talking about, well, I worked in this place and that place and Smolensk and all his other, I don't give a crap where you work, dude. It doesn't matter to me. You can work at Walmart. The bottom line is, you're wrong. Okay. There's more than just what you think in this little narrow view of the mainstream media. Now, I know, I don't know if you know who Graham Hancock is. Have you heard of Graham Hancock?
Heard of him.
Yeah. He is, now, isn't he supposed to debate somebody? Anthony, did you look into that?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, he's supposed to go head to head. If you could, James Bartley, it was on my show. He's really good. Graham Hancock's I think he's supposed to go on Joe Rogan's show and argue with some archaeologist who's been after him, because that guy wants us to believe that we've only been around for 6,000 years. And I'm like, well, crap.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something going on here, and it ain't just 6,000 years old. We're a people with amnesia. I believe we have abilities, and if these Sasquatch can do all this stuff, and they look like they're Neanderthals. I mean, some of them anyway. And a lot of them look less evolved than that. I mean, so what can we do with our brains? I think we're being deliberately dumbed down to stay in this prison that we've been put in. And we imprison ourselves with our own thoughts. Like, that can't be because. Why can it not be? We have created an illusion. I believe this. We have been indoctrinated to create a mass illusion amongst ourselves, and we police one another to the point to where, and there's no open-mindedness. Now, don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out. Everybody knows that saying. But you got to also think, hey, what if we have created our own matrix and we have actually given our energy over to the gods of this matrix, and we're trapped in it because we've imprisoned ourselves. And somebody mocked me hardcore because they said that, he said he could astral project. I'm like, so can you. So can everybody else. Yeah. You do it every time you go to sleep and you dream. You astral project, fool. I hate to call people fools, but that's what they are. And then that thing, when they point the finger at you, you're like, you're crazy. You're the goofy one. You're wearing your shirt right side out. Everybody knows you should turn them inside out now and not wear pants. What the heck is wrong with you? Following the crowd will make you just as stupid as everyone else. If everybody else says, hey, let's wear a trash bag, and walk backwards on Friday, then that's, now get this. That was an actual religion. There was a Roman emperor. Am I lying, Anthony? Elagabalus, who wore sackcloth, which was the Roman version of a trash bag, and he carried a stone chained to his ankle, and he walked backwards through the streets from the Palatine Hill all the way to the Colosseum. He did this every Sunday or whatever, and he would have his Egyptian charioteer whip him. And he did this in honor of the sun. Wow. He was Amun-Ra, like he worshipped the sun god. And this guy, that was an actual religion. So he ordered that everyone else should do this. So the Praetorian Guard said, no, I don't believe we should do that. That's how they always make the Roman sound as British, right? Or transatlantic. Yeah. No, I think we should probably stab Elagabalus 87 times and throw him in the Tiber. Then we don't have to carry large stones and risk hurting our feet. We already wear these sandals, and, well, I'm tired of the blisters in the sand. Yes, you're right, John. Let's kill him. Yes. And so they murdered him and threw him in the river. Guess what? No more stupid walking backwards, and then the next thing you know, they're like, okay, usher in the next lunatic that's going to come up with the next big thing.
Wow, poor guy. He was ahead of his time, and he got murdered for it.
Yeah, he was actually going backwards in time, but that's fine. The point is, though, is that if you look at Fashion Week in Paris, and they're walking around with these weird, globes on their heads and, weird stuff flying off their bodies. And they're like, this is the new fashion. And I haven't eaten but a Triscuit in the last 2 months. And everybody's like, oh, wow, that's amazing. We have to get on board with that. But nobody actually wears the crap, but they all applaud. Right. That is where we are right now. We are at that tipping point in our society. And if we don't stand up and we don't start saying, hey, this is ridiculous that we're all sitting here being pigeonholed into this small-minded collective that's creating a reality. They're always railing about Yeah, I mean, dude, everybody's complaining about the elite. Total indoctrination. They're like, the elite. The elite ain't doing anything. The elite, they're sitting back and they're like, I wonder what the poor people are doing. Oh, they're suffering. And they're making it themselves. We don't even have to do it. They police themselves. If one of them comes up with an idea, then we make fun of them, and everyone laughs. And they don't have to do anything. If you say something, their Pavlov's dogs are trained to jump on you and tell you that you are full of crap. And it's sad because as much research as you've done, and you haven't come across the thing about the eyes. I mean, I've heard that a bunch, and it's like, because people aren't, they're so used to being told, hey, Bigfoot is quote unquote this way. And when I got into this field, I was told that this is quote unquote the way to do things. They told me things like, you're not going to get subscribers by going around talking about ghosts and Bigfoot and aliens all in the same sentence. Son. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And now look where we're at now, And they said, that's just not going to happen. And then, oh, you're going to do a conference? Oh, boy, you are so dumb. You're dumber than you look. And you look stupid. And so then I did it, and those 500 people showed up. Well, that was the first time beginner's luck, and you can't do it again. And now I'm trying to do it again. It may not happen. But you know
Yeah.
what? Winning the Super Bowl 2 years in a row is a hard thing to do. I mean, you can't
Sure
always
is.
repeat it. Yeah.
Right.
But I know people like you, people like Nick, and people like me, and all the people that we've bonded together. I always considered you like one of my allies. It's from the early going.
Absolutely. I always have been.
Yeah, and we've backed each other up, and we've been in groups together, and we've battled. And it's because people like us that keep fighting and telling people, look, there's more to this than what's going on. And the old guard, they could easily flip the script if they would just come to terms with it, but they don't want to.
They've
invested too much in this narrative. And I understand. I understand. And I feel bad for them in a lot of ways. But the bottom line is it's wrong. It's wrong. I don't know exactly what is right, but I know what is wrong. And I know that that needs to change because people should not be like, okay, well, I have a Bigfoot story, but I'm not sure if that's what it is because something was a little bit off about it. And you're like, no, that's a Bigfoot. We're just being told that it can't be a Bigfoot because the eyes moved a little weird. Who made these people the judge and jury of what the heck a Bigfoot is,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So tell us about your Dogman. Let's get into that. You got time for that?
Yeah. Well, Stacy and I went to mom and dad's. They live a few miles down the road from us. And we were coming home. It was real late. And it was that time of year where they switch over. The Sasquatch leave and Dogman come in, okay? But it was a little early for them to come in. So we're cruising down our road, getting ready to pull into probably 100 feet from our driveway. And all of a sudden, my wife's going a little fast. And I said, Stacey, slow down. You're going to hit that guy. And she said, what guy? And I said, that one right there. And we get a little closer and she stops the vehicle. She says, that's no man. And there, it's leaning against a tree and it's got and I'm sure you've heard this before, Josh, a very smug, arrogant look on its face. That's how I remember. Glowing eyes, just with a very smug, arrogant look on the face. Took a couple leaps and it was across the road. Went onto our property. Now that night, here's a weird thing. We're inside the camper, and this is before we had built again. We were inside the camper, and we heard some tussling outside, branches snapping, things running in the trees, and then all of a sudden, it felt like someone was thrown into the camper, and the camper just about tipped over. And here Stacy is. I want to go outside and check it out. I'm like, no, the hell you are. We don't know what's going on out there.
She's tough.
You're not going down there. So, and this was, like I said, I don't know if I said it before, but this was 2 days after her sighting with that big male.
Oh,
so it makes me wonder if they got a little scrap outside the camper and he threw that Dogman against the camper. I don't know, or vice versa. But I went outside the next day and there was branches down, trees knocked over, it looked like Hiroshima. It was crazy.
And so this Dogman that you saw, how big was it? Like how big?
About 7.5 feet.
Yeah, 7.5 feet. That's about average. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big, like shoulders big. How big? Like what did it?
Oh yeah, it had long. The one I saw had long arms. Mm-hmm. Kind of, he was hunched over a little bit, so maybe a little bit taller than 7.5 feet. Blackish in color, pitch black actually, and the movement, just the athleticism with this thing was unreal. And I will say this to the day I die, Josh. I don't know if you ever heard this before, but it didn't have the backwards haunches like a dog. It had straight legs like us.
Okay. Gugwy type creature, possibly.
It could very well could have been, yeah.
Very aggressive too.
Yep, extremely aggressive, extremely. And that was the first time I was just getting into the Dogman field at the time, and that was the doer for me. That convinced me. So I go out back, take another walk one day, and I've got a picture of this one. I'll send that tomorrow too. about 100 feet. I'm walking down the logging road, and I was just checking things out, checking the tree stands, checking the, everything else in the land, just making sure everything's kosher. And I take a look to and I did have a long gun on me. So here, I'll go where I'm going to that in a second. This thing standing there, and it's staring directly at me, and it had its long arms wrapped around what looked like a dead deer, and you could see the bowels on the ground. And it's holding it up. So the deer's face it's holding it up so high the deer's face is right next to the right cheekbone of the Dogman. And I was lucky enough to get a picture of this. It was gray, this one was grayish in color. And I had, like I said, I had my long gun, and I think we all know that they know what guns are. It's something not good. And usually when a predator is trying to defend a kill, they're going to defend it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the long gun saved me or not. All I did was back out, facing it real slow, and all I did was turn his head nice and slowly as I backed out. And backed out and backed out. Until I finally got far enough away from it, I could, get a move on. Mm-hmm. So that was the other encounter I had with the Dogman.
Let me tell you this. My friend Barton Nunley, I know you know who Barton is, and me and him we were talking a couple nights ago, and we have this rivalry. Like, he believes stupidly that Bigfoot can actually kill a Dogman, and I'm like, dude, bro, you were so stupid, man. No, I love Barton. I messed with him, and I said, Barton, dude, okay. I said, you say that because you've seen this Bigfoot that was very aggressive and mean. I say the Dogman wins because I saw a Dogman that was very aggressive and mean, and I don't even want to contemplate that there's another creature out there that could be worse than that. And that's it's like having a great white shark running around on the land. You gamble every day. When you walk out of your house, you're gambling that you're not going to die on the road, that you're not going to slip and fall on some ice. You're gambling that you're not going to get mugged and held up. You're gambling, life is a gamble. But one thing you're not gambling is as a normal person. I mean, you're walking out of your house, you're not thinking, hope a werewolf doesn't attack me today. I mean, that's not really on the top of your list. But it happened. And then you're sitting there going like, oh my gosh, if this is the world we're living in, and I'm a 15-year-old kid, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget that. What it was, what it looked like, what it did. The guy that was hanging out with me, he saw it, he was there, blah, blah, blah. He's told everybody at this table, his version of it. He told my wife, and he's a preacher now. And he preacher in my hometown. Not at the Ebenezer on the side of the road or the First Evangelical Church, but he does preach.
Right.
But he's like, dude, your mind just cannot wrap around it. And even to this day, sometimes when we'll get together, it's like we still can't believe it, and and he's the same way I am. There's nothing that we could think of that could destroy that thing. The shoulders, I'm talking 3.5, 4 foot wide at the shoulders, these huge muscular upper body. The backward bent legs, yes, but it had these huge arms. And one thing that and I was talking to Sibylla Irwin, actually she's in the chat, Sibylla. She's in the chat right now. Sibylla is actually drawing this for me because I got someone to sculpt it that was close to what I saw, but not exactly. But it was as close as anybody had come. But this thing, actually, I got it. Mijo, go grab it off the table, that key. So when you look at this thing, and I'll show it on camera, what the sculpture looks like. It was made by Charlie Perez, and I'll show you this backward bent legs. I'll show you the difference of what it is on this. It's right there on the desk. There you go. You got it. And so here, let me take this guy right here. When you take a look at this, dude, okay, the jaw, the mouth, everything is kind of similar, but the mouth was bigger. The arms and the shoulder area were bigger up in here, okay? This part right here wasn't as pronounced, the traps. The ears were more straight up and down. They were like about that height, but a little bit straight up and down. Don't remember the tail so much, but the feet. Now, here's what's weird. I remember 3 toes. I don't remember like this 4th one so much. And I don't know if it had a dew claw so much, but I just remember like one of the toes looking like a raptor type claw. And and I remember the claws on the hands, just like the nails on this guy are this is puny. This ain't nothing. Now, if you take a wolf, when it attacks, now I've seen footage, I've studied a lot of them, how they'll trip a rabbit or even a deer. Like they'll try to trip them with their front legs if they are skilled hunters, like the alpha male.
Yes.
I've seen a video of them do it in Yellowstone. It was pretty amazing.
It is.
And you're like, you're watching the video and you're like, the alpha male will sometimes try to use his front paw. It is not used in killing, but in tripping. You know, that's David Attenborough. But anyway, like he'll trip something, you know, and then the deer will fall and then they'll jump on it, you know, and you're like, whoa, because hyenas will try to do that too. But they don't use their claws for tearing. Cats do that and bears do that, but not canids.
Yeah.
And not
Right.
The giant weasels we know as hyenas. They're not canids. But
Right.
when you look at what they do, though, that claw is not natural. That is not something that's found in humans or wolves. So if you were to take genetically and put them together, and people say, well, they were made in a lab. Well, then they made them in a lab to kill. To absolutely kill, to disembowel, because the claws are unnatural. They look like bear claws on raccoon hands or something. The feet, when you see the claw, like the toe was kind of wrapped over a chain link fence. And I remember seeing that and thinking, oh my gosh, what the heck is this thing? It is not. And I told Barton, I said, that thing, I believe, and for my money, I don't know no Bigfoot that's going to beat that thing. The thing had such a big head and such a big mouth that it's like you were saying about that female squatch. I think it could just pick you up and just bite your head off.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
or
there's
tear
a
it off,
place,
one or the other.
tear it off, yeah. There's a place in Canada they call the Headless Valley, and I know you've probably heard of it. And they think that it's Squatch tearing their heads off, and I'm like, either that or Dogman are biting their heads off, because I got a story north of Guadalajara, Mexico, and I've been getting a lot of reports from Mexico. I got a guy down there. I wouldn't say he's like my correspondent. Well, let's go to Juan, my correspondent in Mexico. No, but he has been sending me stories, and he's like, hey, man, I got a story. Check this out. And now I got a guy that's going to come on. His grandfather, now get this, I'm going to announce this. His grandfather bought land adjacent to Hernandez Ranch. And this guy is going to come on the show. I talked to him today. He's going to come on the show. And how long have we been trying to get this guy to come on the show, Anthony? Long time, since we started. He's going to come on the show. He's got a very thriving business here in Austin, and he's like, I don't want to be known as the werewolf guy. I understand that. But he's going to come on, he's going to use a different name, but he's going to come on and talk, and he's going to talk about the experiences that they've been having out there. And some of the things that we've talked about before, I mean, like these things, they look like they are just made to kill. If somebody made these in a lab, that's what they did. You know, and people say, well, what if they're Nephilim? What if they are, and what if they were revived because they're stealing every giant that they can find? They're literally taking their skeletons, they're taking them. I'm telling you right now, this Serbian werewolf, and in fact, that guy has invited me to go to Serbia, and I tried to talk to Barton and Ken Gerhardt and tell them, hey, let's all go there and do a documentary on this. And I thought I'd take Nick Valenti, too. We could all just go and and let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take a look at this skull that he has. He says it's a giant wolf skull that was attached to a humanoidal body.
Oh my God!
That the museum has taken it. They took the body, but he has the top part of the skull. So to look at it, I don't know. I've seen it through Skype. It's hard to Corley. Thank you for that donation, man. That's but it's crazy when you start looking at what these things are. Yes, they could be the Nephilim, a proverbial Nephilim, but they also could be revived and with genetic altering. They could take this and turn it into a monster that could kill anything. And what the purpose is, we can only guess. I mean, Zane, you did. You remember that place off of 290? It was a cryogenics lab.
Yeah.
You worked security there.
Yeah.
And Zane got the shock of his life when he went looking through the freezers. It was like, They have heads in there. Like, yes, they do. They were literally. It's a cryogenics lab. People were paying people, and we did security there. It's now defunct. I don't know where they moved it all to. Very creepy place.
How do you move something like that?
Huh?
I said, like, how do you move something like that?
Yeah, I know. They
saw everything. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they moved it all out. They were like, "Well, thanks for guarding our stuff. We're good now." But you go in there and it's creepy, and part of the place didn't have electricity, and it smelled terrible. So that area in the back there, I didn't even go. So I worked there one night, and I knew that I was sitting there around freezers that had because one day we're going to have the technology to put this head on somebody's body, whatever. I don't know what they're doing. But these labs, they actually exist here in Austin, where they are working on cutting edge technology and trying to, between that and AI, they're trying to bring back the dead. And these are private companies.
Exactly
Imagine what
doing.
government can do. I mean, it's pretty crazy out there, dude. And so
it is.
Mm-hmm. But so Jeremiah, tell us, you got anything else, or you just get tired of hearing me and ready to get out of here?
We moved to North Carolina for a couple of years. Had some job opportunities down there, so we moved down, and real small town. And happens to be that before Nick and I started working together, he told me, he goes, just got back from North Carolina, and it was the Dogman activity was so heavy that we decided to stay a month. And I said, my God, that's where you were? I was living in the same area while you were there. This is before we were tight, and I just thought it was funny. But that place was active. One of the stories I'm going to tell you is going to sound absolutely nuts. There's probably some militias out there. I know it won't to you, but go back to the reptilian thing, okay? We found an old train trestle, and every day, I'm talking every day, Josh, there was Sasquatch tracks all over the place. I got some real nice casts out of it, some nice 16, 17 inchers. Some juvenile tracks, just pictures up to galore. Just you can tell they're not human being tracked, and my nephew and I, or my stepson and I were on the railroad bed one night, just walking, and he goes, Dad, look, quick. And just as I picked my head up, I'll get back to the reptilian thing in a second. There's a black Sasquatch running across the railroad track. So I said, okay. I said, they're here. And I believe, I'm a true believer in once these things tag, not physically tag you with a device. I mean, just tag you with their mind. Mm-hmm. I truly believe they're attracted to you. People always ask me, why are you so lucky? Why have you seen? Well, I don't know if it's if I'm lucky to have seen them, but I have. Yeah, exactly. And then in another night, it was 2 nights after that, I brought my stepdaughter who's 19. She brought her girlfriend with her, and we were sitting under the trestle. And here I am on my phone. I forget who I was talking. I think it was Gary Spikes I was talking to. Mm-hmm. Asked me, any activity tonight or not, blah, blah, blah. And just then I hear the girls scream, Jeremiah, what's that? Well, I look up and I see fluorescent blue eyes coming out of the bayou. You can hear them walking on 2 feet, whatever they were. And I look up on the hill and I lit it right up, man. Lit it right up. It was a gray Sasquatch. And totally, I will swear there's more types of these things than people think. I know I deal with 2 up here, just in this area, being on the border of the St. Lawrence River Valley and the Adirondacks. On the reservation, they have a type that looks very Neanderthal. Very Neanderthal. I get reports on them all the time. Whereas more towards me, it's the patty looking type, Now down south, we saw this gray one walk up the hill, They saw it come out of the bayou face first. That's why they freaked out. And I said to her, you got to be quiet. Don't freak out. And just as I looked up to see it, all I saw was a side profile. The vegetation was 5 feet high. It stood about 2.5, maybe 3 feet ahead of the above the vegetation. Would have made it about 8 feet maximum. And this thing was totally built different than what I'm used to seeing. Totally, kind of very thicker from back to front than normal. Massive pectorals. Still had the long arms, you know. You could tell because you couldn't see him once the elbow dropped beneath the vegetation. But yeah, it was great. And he looked at us once, and he had big fluorescent blue eyes. Not all of them shine red eyes, you know, and like people think. But it had big fluorescent blue eyes, and it kept going on its way. Didn't bother us. But it was it looked like it almost had a beer belly, but you could tell at the same time that beer belly was nothing but solid muscle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could tell it was just solid rock. And it looked totally different than what I'm used to seeing up here. But back to the reptilian thing, yeah. My wife and I are on top of the trestle one night, and Stacy has some abilities, and she was trying to communicate with, you know, things out there and whatnot. And we heard these steps in the water, and I didn't see anything at all, man. I didn't see anything, and I had to have been 15, 20 feet away from this thing. I did not hear a thing. I couldn't pick it up with the naked eye. Pulled out my camera, took a picture, videoed it, and next day I'm going through the videos, and what do I see? I see a gray-like reptilian creature with long, 3-fingered arms wrapped around a giant wild hog walking through the water. And you can see the face in this thing. It's a very clear, and I've got some still shots or some screenshots I took of it as well. And you can tell damn well what this thing is. For those of us who are into this kind of thing, yeah. It was carrying a dead hog. Imagine.
Do you think it was like a pale crawler, like a crawler?
You know, that's one question I've asked myself, Josh, because it was gray. It was light gray, but it still had that reptilian face. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it was. I thought I sent you that video a long time ago too.
Yeah, I've gotten several things from a lot of different people. I'm sure
I'll send it to you again tomorrow.
Yeah, send it again because
check it out.
If I go back in my messages, it's probably there. But
yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you again.
A lot of, and I think there's different types of those too.
Yeah, I think there's different types too as well.
Mm-hmm. If you go back into the archives of our show, I don't know what number it was, but it's called "Besieged by Bigfoot." And I got reports from my ancestors, who were my great uncles and great grandfather. Basically, they had encounters with Bigfoot. Well, they called them Bigfoot because they didn't know what else to call them. When the name caught on. But this was back turn of the century. I think it was the 1920s. I got to go back and look and reread up on everything all my notes I had taken. But one of the things that I remember about that story, if you go back and listen to it, it is weird that you're talking about these gray Sasquatch, because that's what these things were. I don't know if they covered themselves in soot, like ash, but they were the color of ash. And I think that, I'm going to talk about it in my book. I'm pretty sure it'll be. I'm trying to decide chapters, what I'm going to put in there and what because I can only put so much, and then it costs more. If you make a bigger book, then it costs more to publish it.
Oh, I remember this story. They were like this really weird gray, and they just were extremely aggressive. They just terrorized this one family.
The McCullough family.
Yeah.
Well, thank God this thing terrorized us, jeez. But you know, a lot of stuff started happening at our place after we were staying in North Carolina. A lot of paranormal activity after we saw this thing. I mean, and during the video, you can see right after it walks away, blue lights come down, blue lights out of the sky, flicker back up and forth, back and down, zigzag around, and take off.
Mm-hmm.
And
that, yeah, and see that right there, the lights, that happens a lot. I mean, I got a report from somebody who's from my hometown. They were at 973, the county road, and they heard me and Loki talking about it last week at the end of last week's show when he told his Goatman encounter story. And they said that they saw lights come down, like bluish green lights, and there were two, and then there was a third. And then the next thing you know, this Sasquatch-looking creature goes running across the road, chasing what looked like a stray calf. And they were just like, what the heck, So, I mean, and then you talk to a UFO researcher and a Bigfoot researcher, and they're like, that's a coincidence. They happen to see a UFO, and there just happened to be a Bigfoot in the same area, but the Bigfoot's not real. And then the Bigfoot guy is like, those lights were a plane landing, and that was a Bigfoot, and he's flesh and blood, and he was hungry. That's how they rationalize things. And you and I are going like, really? Because that's a whole lot of coincidences happening in one little spot.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just doesn't pass the smell test with me. I just don't believe that. I mean, and if you do rationalize things that way, how? Like, how can you possibly rationalize that thing? Like, that's just no way. There's no idea. Way. And you just, it's laughable to the point of like, it's just laughable. So, Jeremiah, we're coming toward the end of our time here, but dude, you've been an awesome guest. We've been trying to hook up for a while now, and you had some health issues. Everybody pray for him. You've had health issues, but you're doing better now, right? You're doing better?
Yeah, everything's kosher now. Yeah, we're doing a lot better. We had that car accident a few weeks ago too, and Stacy got banged up in the head a little bit, but she's all right. And my health issues are all taken care of. I was getting seizures from all the blows from the XMMA.
Yeah. I didn't want to say anything. I wanted, that, but if you want to talk,
that's okay. That's okay. I've learned to live with it. It's a TBI, so they didn't have me on the right meds, and But now it's all squared away. And I'm
Dilatin. Did they give you? Because I know that's one.
They gave me Keppra and oxycarbazine. It's called. I'm supposed to take them together.
Okay. Yeah, because I have a friend who it's crazy. I got a friend who gets absent seizures, and he just kind of like blinks out. I have a couple friends
blinks
like
out,
that.
yeah.
And then they piece together everything. And when they gave him Dilatin, he quit taking it. And then he was like, I just can't take it because it was absorbed. It was like sensory overload. When he started realizing, he was happy with the way it was weird. So, but I'm glad that you got that taken care of. One of the things we do here at Paranormal Roundtable is we pick listeners from the audience, and we usually do it through the Wheel of Broken Dreams. What's it called? The Broken Wheel?
Sounds good to me.
The Breaking Wheel. I don't know. It's something we named it. But I was going to say, you're the guest, and so can you see the chat?
I can't.
You can't? I was going to say I'd let you pick some people, but, if you can't see the chat. But, all right, then, we'll get the heck off my show. See ya. I'm just kidding, Jeremiah. We'll talk again, brother. Hey, you know what? We got to do a show together. I'll come on yours, and we'll bring my audience, and I'll put together some stuff for you, and we can.
That'd be awesome. Me and Nick talk about it. Yeah.
I love talking to Nick's one of my best friends in this field.
Yeah, Nick's like a big brother to me. He's a great guy.
Genuine guy, man. He's a genuine guy. I just,
he is.
It's a shame that they split the way they do it, what happened. But, Nick was on the up and up with that, and he got accused, and I don't like that because that was dirty pool saying that he didn't, it just happened out of the blue, no clue. Nah, bull crap. I just call it like I see it, man. You know what I mean? But, hey, Jeremiah, you're my dog. You know that. We've been friends for a long time. Hit me up anytime. You and Stacy, anything you need, you call me, okay?
All right, Josh. I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll see you.
I appreciate having me on, man. It's an honor.
Oh, yeah. Guys, where can they find you at? Tell them where they can find you at.
Oh, yeah. I run, I'm on the Nick's directors for the IDP Dogman sites now. We have IDP New York, Missouri, New Hampshire,
Maine, Nordic countries, IDP USA, and I know I'm missing a few. You can get a hold of me on Messenger or through my email onthetrail.jf@gmail.com. I also run another group called On the Trail in Search of Living Legends.
Yep.
Or that's my show, excuse me. On the Trail, Cryptid Paranormal Research. My wife and I have one together called The Secret Society of the Paranormal. And our YouTube channel is where you can find all our shows from all the past 5 seasons. It's called Paranormal and Cryptid Crossroads Research. So check it out, hit it up, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Yep, I think I'm in pretty much all your groups, and the IDP stands for the Insane Dogman Posse, right?
Pretty much.
International Dogman Project. All right, and so I'll see you, man. I hope you can make it out for the conference. In
I'm trying to plan it. We're trying to plan it right now. Me and Nick are gonna hopefully meet up and head there together.
Oh man, I'd love that, dude. That'd be awesome, folks. You got to make it to this conference. Everybody's going to be there, so it's going to be a blast. So anyway, yeah, I'll let you go, Jeremiah. I got to run, but it was good having you on.
All right, Josh. All right, buddy.
Man.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
Bye-bye.
always a pleasure. Bye-bye. So that's Jeremiah Fountain, folks. Good friend of mine, great researcher who's had a lot of experiences. I know I threw a lot of information at you, and I know it's a lot to absorb or whatever. And I know I should have probably saved some for next week. I guess that's it. I don't have anything else to talk about ever. We're done. Well, good night.
I think we pretty much figured out everything we need to in this community.
I already did it all. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know why you be looking at me crazy like that.
In fact, if you still have questions, that's really on you.
That's on you, bro.
For not really catching up with us.
I done did everything, man. You be looking at me crazy, man. You bitch, stop looking at me crazy. For real, dog. For real. You gotta do this, man. For real.
A little bit more.
For real. Oh, for more.
There you go.
That's
Almost
now
vanilla
you get
ice.
stupid, dude.
Almost vanilla. Go ahead.
You be like this. Look here. There you go.
Shoot. I just sleep.
I'm finna stake somebody up. I don't know what you be looking at. Bro.
I sleep with that wood on me, good. Them vampires
Get off
crazy,
me, bro.
bro.
For real.
Dang,
that
bro.
wood. I got that wood on me, bro.
Keep
For
that
real.
lay on me, man.
Get off me, bro. For real. I'm taking my glasses off, bro. For not even man.
Think you gonna catch me lacking? Go hit with the lacquer. Yup.
Think some undead vampire gonna catch
Catch me
me?
with that lacquer. Malt lacquer instead of the liquor. Pull out a little lacquer.
Oh, my mama, I'd
tell you
stake a
what,
vampire.
Here at PRT, we like to push the envelope a little too far. I just like to mess around, dude. I like to act stupid with my homies, and get on that loke and all types of ill shit. But I'm just joking. I don't do any of that. Okay. So here we're gonna do the giveaway. So let's do this. Let's just do this. Since everybody, each one of us just picks a person tonight. And instead of doing the wheel, let's just do that. Because the wheel takes too long. And I got to record. I still got to record a show for Tuesday. So we got to do that. That's my tiny Morocco.
I see that. Yeah.
Yes. They be mad dogging me, man. For
Where's
real.
the wheel?
Oh, it's upside down. Never mind.
Yeah.
So let's just, if you haven't won, tell us you haven't won and say, hey, let's do this and let's get on it. Let's see what we got here. Well, there you go. Steph O'Connell says, pick me. And that's very simple. Steph, have you won before? Because if you haven't, I'll pick you.
Are we doing non-winners or all?
Well, we gotta pick people who haven't won. It'd be nice. But, Dinah says, I'd be happy with a T-Shy E. Spooky Chick says, I still want a black hoodie XL, even though weather is warm now. And then Carla says, James, after I am over the curb. No, never mind. That's something else. Tyler says, I never won yet. Love Cat says, I never won yet. Please pick me. There's a lot of people on here. What do we got? The shape-shifting a-hole. Shape-shifting with a name like that, why would we pick you? Because we'd be picking an a-hole. Why would I do that? That's and a shape-shifting one. That's even terrible. What are you, a rake?
And if you're a literal a-hole, as in like a sphincter, and you shapeshift, that's pretty disgusting.
That's disgusting. We're not going to entertain that over here on PRT. That's disgusting. But we're going to move on from that. Jeff Miller says, I love the show and I've never won. You know what? I got you, Jeff. I pick Jeff. Jeff Miller. Because his name is not Bud, it's Miller. I don't like Miller either, but Miller Light anyway. Gives me a headache. All the light beers give me a headache. It says here, Jay Crow says, I never won. Someone, come on, Tony, your turn. Pick somebody. Let's go.
I'll choose Dina Russo.
Did she say yes or no, whether she had won before?
Yeah, she said she never won.
Where? I didn't see this.
At least you won something. I've never won anything.
She said that?
Yep.
Okay, so then Dina, make it sure you weren't hustling us, Dina. You got that name, that Russo name.
Yeah, she probably still is.
She probably still is. We ate dinner with a guy the other night that was literally had done 18 years behind bars in federal prison, and he was a La Cosa Nostra. Literally, he's done his time, served his time, and had some pretty interesting photos with some gangsters from back in the day. It was an interesting conversation we had with the guy, you know, like from back in the day. You know, he's paid his debt to society. 18 years is a long time. But it was interesting. And listening to him talk, you know, I've not been north of Pennsylvania into the Northeast. You have, Zane. You've been to Connecticut, but I've been all over the world, but I haven't been to the Northeast, which is weird.
You should see it at some point. So.
Yeah, you really got to see it. Driving in a Fiat. No, I'm saying. But, you know, I would love to go up there. I just haven't been up there.
Let's plan a trip to go to New York a week ago.
I'd like to.
All the surrounding.
I got a lot of friends up there that live in that area. I can go visit. Maybe in the summer. So the shape-shifting aces name discrimination. Nah. So it's your turn, Zane. Pick somebody that says they haven't won here.
Borrow your list there, sir.
Dave House says, you said Lakota Notia. I didn't say I said La Cosa Nostra. I did not say Lakota Notia.
But that is a really good idea for like a Native American gang somewhere.
Yeah, they're like.
Speaking of Dave Powell, he sent a message saying, I still haven't gotten my prize.
Did we send, was Dave Howell slated to get something?
I don't remember, Dave, if you want a giveaway, if you're like a Patreon supporter, just if you could clarify.
Dave, here's what we're going to do with that. If you are on Facebook Messenger, that's the best way to do it. Get on there on Messenger because I can get it right away. Emails, I get to them, but it gets kind of backed up. I announced at the beginning of the show several people that I'd sent stuff to. I don't know if your name was called out, but I'll get you if I owe you. Tell me what I owe you or whatever I need to do, and I'll take care of that. Also, if you are on the $30 tier Patreon or the $20 tier Patreon moving forward at this point, 20 and 30. If you've been 10 for 3 months, you're already grandfathered in. I got you. If you're in one of those tiers, message me through Patreon. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to keep that separate. The Patreon swag bags are completely separate from the giveaways, okay? That way we can keep track of all this, because we don't get people to slip through the cracks and don't get, they kind of get, jerked around because of whatever. And then they're like sending me death threats and whatever. And
right, so I eeny, meeny, miny, mode, and I think the name is Dina Russo.
Yeah. How do we both choose the same name?
Oh, wait, you did?
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I was not here for it. Okay.
Dave says months ago. Okay, Dave, you must have slipped through the cracks, man. I'll throw you something extra in there, dude. Okay? I will. In fact, it's this ginger candy. I will throw it like that, just in there for you, Dave.
Maynard W.
I'll never say I never
get
gave
that new book for you.
Maynard is about. I just sent him a huge package.
Oh,
I believe I did.
I need a list.
Yeah, Maynard, you got something coming. I already sent you one. You were one of the people I sent off yesterday, right? Yeah. So you got yours coming, Maynard.
Hey guys, Wolf still needs to choose. I mean, not Wolf. Zane still needs to choose. So.
Well, Steph is over here threatening me now. Don't make me break your kneecaps. My right knee's already hurting. I think it's gout. Please don't do it. It's already hurting. Have mercy.
Joke's on you. I already have knee problems.
Yeah, joke's on you. I could barely walk. That's why I'm going to the Ebenezer by the side of the road Evangelical First Church of the.
It's pretty ableist of you to assume that I have knees.
Ableist.
That mic doesn't
That's
work.
very ableist of you to assume that I have knees.
Oh, hang on. Okay, I forgot that my mic was off.
Yeah, he's been talking into it this whole time.
Yeah, just like last time.
Really? It's been off this whole time?
No. It was off once we brought the guest on because we're only set up for like four
okay.
people.
I get it.
Michael Sincora?
Who?
Michael Sincora.
Michael Sinclair.
Sincora. S-I-N-C.
Yeah, he commented like you have to scroll back a little bit.
Yeah,
He commented saying he's never won before.
Paul Sinclair, you're on the chat here today? Paul Sinclair from England?
No, it's his brother, Michael Sincor.
No, I'm saying Paul Sinclair. He's right there. He said, "Hi, Nina." I guess we've gone so long that now he's awake already. Over there in England, he's like, I woke up, Josh, and I decided to look at the telly, and there you were on my YouTube with your ugly face. At least he's not like the guy when I was trying to lift weights in Pretoria. He's like, don't ever do that again, you little bastard. You almost broke your chest trying to lift too much weight. And me and my mates didn't want to have to scrape you off of that bench, boy. I'm like 19, and I'm like, are you insulting me? Because I'm not sure. What is this? Is this because I'm not really understanding you? And he's like, oh, slap that smile right off your face. And I'm like, I understood the slapping part. Are we about to fight? I'm not real sure. And then I got decked.
He's like, you should have.
And then I beat up the whole gym.
Are you fighting with me or flirting with me?
And
I
I wore
can't figure it
the
out.
skin. I covered myself with the skin, all the tattoos. That didn't happen. But no, I did get told to quit doing that without a spotter because I'm being a right nutter, stupid, whatever. Paul Sinclair says, hi, Josh. Yes, I am here. Paul, we want to get you on the show, and we want to get you across the pond, as they say. I'll say it in my best transatlantic accent. We want to get you over here. If you come over here, we'd love to have you on our conference. Please, as a speaker. Do whatever you can.
I think he
Post
wants.
haste, man.
I don't think Paul was here for the evangelical sermon.
No,
we
I'm
had.
doing my transatlantic accent. Could you please stop interrupting me, young man? Jeez, it's like I'm playing cards with my brother's kids.
Get out of here, kid! You're bothering me.
Actually, y'all are my brother's kids. Anyway, so Paul, we love to have you come. We are just like thrilled, and we want to have you come on and talk about Wolflands. If you don't know who Paul Sinclair is, and you've been living under a rock or whatever, or if you've been incarcerated for the past several years, Paul Sinclair is an amazing guy. He has a show called Truth Proof. I don't get to catch it much. I catch the replays. That's one of the few shows I'll sit through. And it comes on around noon, I believe, in our time. In the UK, I think it's in the evening or something. But yeah, they're ahead of us by several hours. And he's across the pond, and he's done a lot of amazing work on Dogman. And Paul has a lot of books out too. So and I have a deal with Paul. So if you're a lucky winner on the show from the UK, never fear, Paul is here, and he will send you one of his books autographed. That's one of the deals that me and him have. That's why, it's good to have friends and network and try to get along with people. I'm still working on all that. But Paul, good guy. Hopefully he'll come over across the Atlantic and be at the conference. I would love to have you just speak at the conference. That would be such a treat for my listeners and for the Dogman community to have you come over here to the States. And if you come, you definitely, I'll have a hotel room for you and whatever. So, yeah, I'm hoping that you can make it. So we have like one more person to pick, right? Because you said Michael, what was his name?
Sincora.
How do you spell his last name? Because I didn't see him.
I believe it's Sincora.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. I'm pretty sure.
He said he hasn't won?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michael. S-I what?
Sincora.
Oh, okay, Sincor. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's I don't know. That's sin at your core. How do you feel about that, Mike?
Is it Cora or Cora? I don't know.
Oh, Cora. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, Mike. I thought it was Sincor. I was like, oh, you're just evil, dude. You're evil. This dude's over here tripping me up. So, okay.
Sounds almost What is that?
Yeah, so I don't know what that is. Sincora is probably Hispanic, but I'm not going to assume or whatever. Yeah, so Wolflands is finished. You gotta let me. You got to come on and talk about your stuff, Paul. We got to have you on. We've done the pre-record, but we've never had you on the live stream. We'd love to have you on the live stream, dude. Seriously. So, okay, now I'm getting threatened by Steph O'Connell again. What do you think? She says, I guess you guys don't want your knees. Are you an Irish gangster?
I sold those.
I don't have knees.
I haven't had knees for years.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody here got no joints?
Back in my day, we used to know.
Well, actually, if I don't have knees, I don't have to walk no more. That'd be great.
You know what?
Then I could just be lazy and freeload off everyone else's energy.
Calling Obama.
Gotta do more of this walking. Making me tired and thinner. All right, so Steph, I don't know. Who do you want to pick, Anthony? It's your call. You want to pick her? She's pretty violent.
She's pretty aggressive.
She's scaring me, but it's up to you.
I don't know. Steph, have you won anything before?
We don't negotiate.
Because I don't know if you.
We don't negotiate with your kind around here, Panda Bear.
No. Okay. Fine. I relent. I want to keep my kneecap.
She's threatened us enough, folks. Folks, this is not how we normally do things at Paranormal Roundtable. We don't take threats, okay? But this woman sounds pretty serious. So I better, she's got that Irish and Italian in her. We're gonna go ahead and you're gonna give it to you, okay? We're gonna let you have it. So what they're gonna win on this go around or whatever?
A crisp high five.
An air high five. It's all in the air. The wrist action. So what we're going to do on this one, I was thinking, since we haven't done any of these in a while, what do you think? A cap?
Yeah,
or like maybe a conference shirt from the past conference, or maybe a Barton Nunley's and Humanoid shirt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those all sound good.
I mean, those are all cool.
So we'll just say one of Barton Nunley's and Humanoid shirts, and if we have your size, if we don't, then we'll send you a hat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you one of mine that I wore on the show, autographed, all sweaty, and after I work out in it.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Free pheromones.
Just kidding.
I'll send you this one that I took off a little girl. She was wearing it, and I didn't like the fact she wasn't representing PRT correctly, so I had to make sure
she had it sideways slightly.
Take it off her. You know how it is. You got to wear our correct.
Not only that, but we were at SeaWorld and we were trying to flex, and we were like, dude, what are you doing? You can't represent,
You can't wear this color in blue. It doesn't look right.
That's right. It doesn't mix. Mm-mm. So anyway, but Tony flexed. That's all he could flex on as a little kid, a little girl, because but in a couple more years she could probably beat him up. So
I'm working up to little boys. So I mean,
that's not ridiculous. What the freaking heck is that? He's working.
Someone's gonna take that and like clip it and just take it out of context.
Noodles. You just told him what to do.
You are never gonna live that down if someone does that. It's not gonna be me. I'm not that mean, but someone's gonna do it.
Oh.
You mean you're working your way up to be able to beat up a child? That's what you're trying to say? Okay, yeah. But even then, with those arms, I would give the nod to the kid, and especially if he's like 12, 13, he's probably going to beat you up.
He'll gas him in the second round.
Second round, you're thinking highly of me.
Oh, geez. Giving him too much credit. Okay, folks, we just like to have fun here at Paranormal Roundtable. Enough joking around, enough kidding around. Stop! Silence! All right. So we love you. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, go to patreon.com/PRT podcast. Join the Patreon revolution and help us get the money together to do this conference, please. Join the $30 tier and you will get a super swag bag, which is like 2 books. We now, I believe we have most of the people that are going to get this, I think, now. But what you have to do if you're a $30 tier member, don't do this, okay? Don't wait around. Don't do that. Go to Patreon and send me a message on Patreon saying, "Look, fool, I'm $30, all right? And I'm $20. $20 gets a smaller bag and you don't get the disc, but say, "Look, I'm $30 tier." And the first 10 get this. I think we have like 6 or 7 now, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we still got slots for 2 or 3 more people. So get on there, join the $30 tier, and we'll send you one of these. What it is it's American Monster Tour by Lyle Blackburn and Ken Gerard. I don't know who these people. I don't know.
Indie small time creators.
I was trying to eat dinner the other day in San Antonio. And they showed up, and me and David Weatherly were like, "Okay, I guess come on and eat."
We really just found it at the pawn shop and thought it was pretty nice.
And then that one guy, Ken Gerard, was like, "Hey, I got these discs. I'm trying." He was like, it was like his mixtape, and I was like, "Dude, man."
Yeah, he was trying to sell it off his SoundCloud or something.
I was like, "Dude, get on."
Yeah, he tried to lure me in with like.
And then that
pistachios.
Lyle guy with his mustache, he was all, "Hey man, I got a band millions of people listen to. It's called Ghoul Town." I'm like, "What? Ghoul what?" This is freaking me out, dude. They were really freaky. But anyway, I felt pity on them, and I was like, you know what? I guess I'll peddle your wares, whatever. And then they each gave me a box of books. They paid me like $100 a take to give to y'all. And I was like, okay, I guess. It's like, whatever. I guess I'll do this. So David was like, he goes, they're a little, just humor them. I said, oh, okay, all right. So I was nice to them. I pretended to be cool with them, People that have special needs, you have to be nice to these people. Okay? We can no longer ignore them. All right? I'm joking. I'm joking. I love Lyle. I love Ken. They're dear friends of mine. They're my brothers. That is an amazing disc, and it's a DVD, but it's signed by both of them. And until the conference in Jefferson, where I was betrayed and lied to by both of them to my face, where I saw them sign a copy together to this one woman, and I went over to their table and I said, excuse me, I'm the only one in the world that's supposed to have these. And they said, oh, no, you did, until we just signed that one. So the person that got it, I am looking for you. That sounded terrible. I'm messing with you, lady. I don't care. Anyways, folks, $30 tier, you know what to do. And if you are, like I said, from England, then we'll have Paul Sinclair, a dear friend of mine, send you one of his amazing books. Which, hey, man, I don't even have his book signed. I'm hoping he comes over and brings me a few, because I don't have his book signed. Him and Paul Wallace over in Australia, two of my favorite authors, I don't even have their books, because they're like, Paul's like, oh, I could send it to you, but it's,
It cost me like $1,000.
I would have to give you one of my grandchildren. I can't do that. It's wrong, And I said, gosh, man, how about it? Can you send me one of your cats or a donkey? And he said, maybe.
Kangaroo.
Whatever.
Yeah, to get anything from Australia, it takes us.
He'll have to go and sell that to
It's a chop off a leg to get it over here.
It's $1 million.
Australia.
And then California, what the heck are they doing?
How are they like 26 hours
$45 to ship a book in California?
It's a wasteland
What's
over
wrong
there.
with these people, man? Makes me want to eat this collagen brownie. This taste. I'm going to eat it. All right, guys, I'll see you. We love you very much. Please go to Eventbrite, post haste, get on there, buy your tickets, folks. You will not be disappointed. If it's the only trip you take all year long, there's even a water park. No bull, right? There's a water park next to the conference.
That's actually something they said to us when
you will see my fat body out there on Sunday, probably, or Monday, Labor Day, swimming and doing stuff. And you can take photos of me and make fun of me and put them all over Facebook, because I don't give a crap. I'm telling you, you can't embarrass me. Okay, I don't care. So seriously, you could be like, look at this guy. He looks nothing like his action figure.
Yeah, one time he actually squeezed himself into one of my T-shirts. I'm not kidding. And then I took pictures, and I still have them somewhere. But he didn't care.
I don't even care. I
wear a large.
I'm gonna put this. No,
just to let you know, that's about 4 other large.
And it was like a lemon yellow T-shirt at that.
One of y'all and Anthony was with me. We were at Sam's, and I scared those Haitian people because I put that extra large on, and that lady goes, "Oh no, you fit to the bust out of that shit." Remember at Sam's? You remember that? I put on a shirt that was like 3 times too small for me, and I was like, "What do you think, honey? What do you think?" And I was like, and it was so horrible. My belly was hanging out the bottom of it, and my wife's like, "Oh my gosh!" But she couldn't stop laughing. And these people, they were like Haitian people. I started talking to them, and I'm like, "Yeah, you should check out my show." And the lady's like, looking me up and down. She's like, "Oh, that shirt is a little too small for you." I go, "You think so? You think so?" Because my chest, I've been working on my pecs. She goes, "Yeah, they're very big." And she was just like, "Yes." And she was looking down at my belly, and I was like, "I'm up here, okay?
Excuse
I don't know
me.
what you're looking at."
Hello.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous, folks. That's all that we have for tonight, dude. Just take that image and imagine me in a tube top. That's all you gotta do. All right, chip, chop, chip. All right, I'll see you.
Later, folks.
Good night. Peace.